All right, thank you guys. All right, for the real reason you guys came, and without further ado, I want to go ahead now and bring up Mr. Jared James.
Good morning, everybody. How we doing? You guys good? Good, good. You guys excited about actually learning something today at a time where it's probably more relevant than at any other time we've been in this industry? How many of you have been in the industry less than 5 years? Okay, we all apologize to you. That wasn't a real market, just so you know. That was fool's gold, right? It's like everybody thought that a real estate license came with bigger boobs, a better car, and an upgraded spouse, you know? It's the truth. I see some of you looking at me. That is how this is going to go, just so you know. It's true. We got a lot of people who joined the industry because they were watching reality TV, right? It's like you get your license and you're rich, right? I was backstage with a guy about a year and a half ago, one of the reality stars. We're backstage, and he just keeps telling me over and over again how much real estate he sold. 80 million. I've sold 80 million, 80 million. And I guess like I wasn't giving him the attention he needed, and he just kept on. You know, I'm like, so what are you talking? He's like 80 million. He just kept on saying it. And finally, I'm like, dude, isn't your average price point like 20 million, like per house? So I know you guys didn't come here to do arithmetic, but that's 4 houses. And he was about to go tell everyone how to sell houses. And I'm sitting here going like, what the heck it's an interesting climate that we find ourselves in right now. It's an interesting climate where, you know, we have had hundreds of thousands of agents leave the industry over the past year. And if you listen to that from the outside, if you listen to, you know, the media, the consumers, these things, they think it's because the industry's falling apart. And there's a difference, you know, between falling apart and pruning. You know, I don't know if any of you do any planting or, you know, I don't know what the correct word is, so clearly I do a lot of planting. But I know pruning helps you grow. And I know that we've had a lot of people in the industry who didn't really belong in the industry, and that they were giving us a bad name. You know, I did a video the other day on Instagram, and there was a stat that came out that said that 49% of agents in our industry have done between 0 and 1 transactions in the last 12 months. And it's interesting because, you know, to the consumer, where they operate in a world where there are job titles, and you move your way up, right? You come in and you're a first timer, you're new, you're an assistant this, you're whatever, and you move up, eventually you're vice president, president, whatever, and there are these titles that mean something 30 years down the road so that people know that this person is not the same as this person. But that is not the case in real estate. When you get into real estate, you're an agent, you're a realtor, if you pay that due, right? And 30 years later, you're a what? You're an agent or a realtor. If you guys want to turn down the sound a little bit, just so there's a little less echo, that'd be good. But you're an agent, you're a realtor. 30 years later, and to a consumer, they don't know the difference, right? It's just like it's the same old thing, and yet we all know that there is a difference. There is a difference between people who actually know what they're doing during the third most stressful time in somebody's life, buying and selling the largest asset they're ever going to own, and then what is portrayed out to everybody else. And you guys have been a little bit under attack the last year. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. You guys been paying attention? Yes? But you guys are a little bit under attack. You guys make too much money. Anybody feel like they make too much money? It's like laughable when I hear this stuff, you know? It's just like, you know, oh, realtors make too much. They do nothing and make all that. And I'm like, well, I mean, tell me, because I'll get out of this and I'll go back into if that's what's happened, okay? That you guys don't have to do anything and yet you're just getting paid like rich people, because that would be amazing. You know, I'm in the wrong line of business. I'll go back to doing that side. Okay, but I don't think that's actually the case, and it's one of the reasons why, you know, I said to you guys at the beginning here that I've kind of taken a little, like a 3-month hiatus, and I don't mean from like running my companies or working. I'm always working. I'm always doing whatever, but I have kind of the last 3 months not done many events at all, and I did that on purpose. It got to the point I was saying no so much that Linda. Do you guys know Linda? Who's in here? Do you guys know Linda? Yes? No? All right. She's got 2 fans. Awesome. Don't worry, babe. That was half as many as I got when I came out, and I'm the main speaker, so it's all good. Yeah, I was saying no so much. She's like, babe, you got to say yes to someone. Like, you got to go. Like, you're saying no to everything, right? And I'm like, well, saying no to something is saying yes to something else. Saying yes to something is saying no to something else. Like, we're making decisions all the time. But the reason why I was doing that, the reason why I've kind of like stayed off the road and just watching, is because I think that we're in a very important time right now in our industry. And I think there's a lot of people talking right now who aren't saying a thing. I think there's a lot of people who have done so many events, who are talking so much, that are saying, they're just regurgitating everything they hear, that after a while, they're nothing but a bad caricature of themselves. And I think that there is something valuable about when people give you the ability for them to hear your voice, like it's important to them. And they say, hey, we want to know what he's got to say. We want to know what she's got to say. I think that that's something that you have to value. And so the last 3 months for me has been really just kind of like watching and just looking at everything and saying, hey, what do I actually think about all of this? What actually matters right now? Because if you look at everything going on in our industry, as I said, there's a lot of talking, but there's not much being said. And there is something to be said for wisdom, you know? There is something to be said, especially at a moment like this, because we're at a time right now where there are a lot of people who are going to win, and there are a lot of people who aren't going to win. And the reason for that is going to be very specific. It's not going to be by accident. You know, we're at a time right now where when we went through COVID, there was in 1 year, there was 6.1 million sales. And I don't know, for those of you that are newer in the industry, that's why I kind of apologize to you. We have never had a year of 6.1 million sales. That was insanity. Like, that was not normal, okay? And then we dropped back off, and last year we did about 3.9 million sales, okay? Now that was a drop off, guys. That was the lowest number in 30 years. Did you know that? Just made me feel good, guys, and be like, yes, we know our industry. Now this year they're saying there's going to be about 4.71 million sales, which is an almost 20% increase, okay? Now, prior to COVID, do you know what we called a year with 4.71 million sales? We called it a darn near record year. But that's the power of perspective. Because if you would have told someone when it was 6.1 that we're going down to 4.7, everyone would lose their collective minds. But when you tell people it's going from 3.9 to 4.7, everyone's losing their collective minds, but in a good way. And didn't we see the same thing with our consumers? Guys, if rates fluctuated a little bit, how many of you were selling when it was 2.875%? You guys remember that? And do you remember what happened when it went to 3%, 4%, 5%, and everybody lost their minds? 5% for a home? Are you out of your mind? And the rest of us that have been around a little bit going, that sounds pretty good. That's 5%. God, that's way lower than I ever sold in. And they lost their minds. And the media's out there telling everybody, you can't buy. You're going to have to rent. You're going to have to rent because the rate is better on that. What's the rate on a rental, guys? 100%. But you got to go rent because it's a bad time to buy. And then it went to 6%, 6.5%, 7%. And within 30 days, it went from 6.5 to 7 back down to 5. And those same outlets that told you to find a window and jump out of it when it was at 5% 30 days ago, now it went from 6.5 to 7 back to 5. And you know what they said? Time to get off the fence. It is amazing time right now. And it's funny because I always think like this, like if you had like shuttled me in from like another world and you had shown me those two, I wouldn't have known. There was nothing else going on. I didn't know what had happened before. I didn't know what happened after, whatever. But both times you brought me back in here, it was at 5%. You would have seen a completely different response from everyone around you. It was a terrible time. It was an amazing time. And what was the difference? The difference was perspective. Because one of the times it came from here and went up, and the other time it went from there and came down, so now it was great. And I've been saying for years, and there comes a moment where all of those Instagram quotes, you have to actually decide whether you believe them or whether you just want to post them online. And I've been saying for years, when everybody gets crazy, make sure you don't. Right? When everyone gets crazy, make sure you don't. We're an industry that needs an adult in the room. You got people going through the third most stressful time in their life. Everybody freaking out. Everyone in their family is a real estate expert. Okay? I mean, I watched that show on Hulu or Holo or whatever the name is. I saw CNBC and I did whatever. Like, they're an expert. And so when everybody gets crazy, you can't. We have to be the adult in the room. And when it was at 4%, when it was at 6%, when it was at 5%, should have been no different on us. One of the most common questions I get right now from people, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to buy? People ask this all the time. Is now the time to buy? You guys heard this? Yes. Okay, now let me just preface. For those of you, by the way, I probably should have done this in the beginning. I feel like I know a lot of you, so I'm doing this a little bit different. How many of you have some kind of context with me? Like, you've either heard of me, watched me, you think I'm the gallery of jewelry. Hopefully not the Subway guy. It's not a good one anymore. How many of you have no context? You're a seat filler. This is your Oscars. Like, this is it. Like, you're... Okay. So just to kind of preface, for years, people who have done what I do, I hate even saying coach, because it's like everybody who can't sell real estate today is a coach. I mean, let's be honest, right? It's they suck locally, so now they're an international coach where nobody knows where they are because someone watched their video on the other side of the country. So now they are, whatever. So I even hate the name, but I can't stand that for years coaches have taught people, is it a good time to buy? It's a great time to buy. Is it a good time to sell? It's a great time to sell. Like, how do I believe anything you say? It's always the same answer. It's whatever in your best interest. Whatever's in your interest is what, that works for me. That's not a great salesperson. This is why real estate people are ranked number 2 is like how the public views you negatively, right behind car salespeople. It's because we get taught those kinds of things. And then we get grouped in with people who do that kind of stuff. Remember, realtor, agent, you're all the same thing. And yet the truth is, most of us were never taught how to actually be a pro. What's a pro? I know you all went to real estate school, but it doesn't make you a pro, right? And so when people say, is it a good time to buy, it's the wrong question. It's like debate 101. If you want to make someone look bad, ask them enough questions they don't want to answer. Because what happens is you get cornered. Watch what's going to happen. This isn't political, but watch what's going to happen during the political season. The people that will look bad, they're all going to ask them questions they don't want to answer. And if they don't answer them, it looks like you're avoiding the question. And if you do answer it, why do you keep answering about white supremacy? Why do you keep answering about this? Why do you keep it? Well, obviously this is what's going to happen now. This is debate 101. So what happens in sales is that people will say things like that. They'll go, is it the right time to buy? Is it the right time to buy? Right time to buy? And we, because we feel pressure to answer, will, yes it is, no it's not, here it is, whatever. And there's a lot of answers we can go over. But I disagree with the premise of the question. Is it a great time to buy? Well, is it ever a bad time to own? There's your answer. Is it ever a bad time to own? That's it. We had our advance in Nashville last October, and I was talking to a couple of our Canadian clients, and they came over to me, and we were at a happy hour thing. Great time to talk business. And they walked over, and they're like, Jared, we just have one question. I know you just want to enjoy whatever. We just have one. Everybody has their one. And so they had their one question, and they were just like, we're in Canada, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Canadian market, but they don't do mortgages like we do mortgages. They will eventually. They're starting to offer more like we have. But generally speaking, their mortgages literally change every couple of years. So you can't lock a rate. You're starting to change this. But for the most part, you can't lock a rate for the next 30 years. So when you have an interest rate, inflection like we have now, it's like, right now it's great, but in 2 years it's not going to be. In a year and a half, it's not going to be. It's not. And so their challenge is that they're coming to me and they're going, Jared, everybody's coming to us going, why won't we just rent then? Our rate's going to double. Our rate's going to triple. Why should we buy? They're like, what do we say to them? What do we do? And I said to them exactly what I'm saying to you right now. Debate 101. You're answering the question. It's the wrong question. You're comparing it against renting, which is at historic highs all across Canada right now, okay? So I said, turn it around back on the person and ask them. Forget about me selling you on buying. You sell me on renting. Go. Tell me why that makes sense. Tell me why it makes sense for all of your money to be thrown away. That 100% of the people are going to pay for a roof over their head. They're going to pay somebody's mortgage down. They're going to build somebody's equity. I can either build mine or I can build yours. Well, let me go rent. I said, tell them to sell that to me. And they sat there, and I don't know if it was because of their third drink or because it made sense, but they were like, yeah, I don't know why I don't think that quick. Like, they're like, that's a great answer. Yeah, that's what I'm going to start saying. But we put this pressure on ourselves, like as if we're like, like we are like this car sale, whatever. Like, our job's not always to have the right answer. Our job is not only our job is to literally do what's in the best interest of the person in front of us. And when that is your heart, when that is your mentality, you don't feel all this pressure to make sure. This isn't a Jimmy Fallon game show where something's added. Who's gonna hit it? Who's gonna get it first? This isn't what's it called? The game show with Family Feud, right? Where you stand up at the podium. Here's the question: who's got it? And if you don't get it, you don't get to play. But we're treating our industry like that. If I want to play, I got to be first. I got to be first. No, you don't. You got to be best. Because a pro isn't thinking about the sale right now. The pro is thinking about the lifetime value of that person. That's how a pro thinks. A pro doesn't think about making the sale with you right now. The pro thinks about, I may or may not make a sale with you right now. But I'm going to make a sale with you and everybody you know for the rest of my life and your life, and that's why we're going to win out here. So what's the best answer for you? Well, let's figure out what that is. We had people for a few months there. Most common question I would get from people, they would go, Jared, how do we talk sellers into selling their home when they bought their home at 2.875 or 3%? And now rates are at 6%, 7%, 7.5%. How do we talk them into moving into that situation and having a higher rate? You guys heard that one before? Yeah. Very simple answer. You don't. That's absurd. Would you do that? So what are we talking about? And so I said this on a I don't know, podcast, a video, something, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't do that. That's scumbag stuff. We're not talking them into doing things that are against their own self-interest, that we ourselves wouldn't do. But you know what does happen? People do things against their own self-interest all the time because their motivation changes. Our job is not to change their motivation. Our job is to be there when it happens. And so when you see people that, do you mind if I set this here? Awesome, thank you. When you, I've been over COVID for at least 12 hours. It's all good. She doesn't know if I'm kidding or not. I'm not sick, just so you know. It's all good. So when you see people, I saw a very prominent coach that answered that question. They were getting the same questions I was. And they answered that question. They put out a big public thing. Here's how you talk them into it. And I literally wrote, I don't even want to say gender or anything because I don't want you guys to start guessing. I'm not going to tell you later who it was. But I sent them a message and I was just like, what are you doing? That's bull crap. What are you doing? And they're like, well, we got to answer. These are the practical questions people are asking. I said, that is bad for our industry. The answer is not to give them an answer. The answer is you don't talk people into that. It's not how it works. Because then when you talk them into it, and if it's guess who they blame? That's like walking into a house and telling everybody, because you're trying to be the expert when you're trying to list the house, here's what I would change, and here's what I would do here, and here's what I would do here, and all they're thinking is, well, you don't like my house. Think about that. You don't go in and tell people what they need to change. You say, I can see what you were doing with those purple polka dots, the real Barney vibe you got going here. This is amazing. I bet your kids love this. I might do this at my house. But research tells us we might want to go with a little more earth tone and maybe bring this back to the year we live in. What do you think? So you don't say, here's what I would do. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, you need to. You say, I see what you're doing there. Like whatever. Research tells us, if you want to get the highest price in the shortest amount of time, I get what you were doing. That's so cool. I can't wait till that catches on with everybody, or at least a second person. But for right now, research tells us, you see what I'm saying? You might not want to scare the hell out of people when they walk into your house. Like, maybe. So what we have to be careful as a pro when we're dealing with people that you got to remember everything you're saying, they're taking it as Okay? I'm going to be very specific with you guys today. Is that all right? Like, we'll do, jokes here and there, whatever. But like, I think we're in a pros market right now. I think you need to understand the little things that make people move one way or the other. Second place in this industry, guys, there is no second place. There's no silver medal in real estate, right? There's just a winner and a bunch of losers. And every loser thinks they came in second place. Right? Got 8 people that go to a listing presentation. 1 wins. 7 people tell everybody they came in second place. Probably not the case. But the difference between those two things, the difference between that first and that second think about how small it is. Think about how small it is when you've made decisions doing things. You're not even sure why. You just felt a certain way about the person you were dealing with, or you just felt a certain way. You went into the supermarket and you got everything but the thing you went in for. You don't know when that happened, but it happened. And that's how psychological sales is, and we have to understand that because we have an industry full of people who are running around telling everybody they're not salespeople. And that's a problem. Because you go ahead and not be a salesperson, I come into your market, I'll dominate you. Because being a salesperson is not a bad thing. When you understand what it is, when you understand you're making decisions for people's long term, you're making decisions that's in their best interest because you're after that lifetime value. Being a salesperson is an amazing thing. And you better not, we're running around saying we're not salespeople, we're not salespeople. We're matchmakers, we're this, we're that. And then they question our commission. So you're a matchmaker, I can get you on some dating app, we're good. I don't need you for this. You understand? We have got to understand the lifetime value of the people that we are in front of. We have to understand, guys, we're eHarmony, okay? We're not, what's the hookup one? Tinder? Go ahead and act like you didn't know. It's a guy up front by himself. Good on you, good on you. We're eHarmony, guys. We're not Tinder. That's what this industry is. You understand? This is about lifetime. It's about making decisions that are lifetime. This is about answering people in a way that deals with the fact that we are lifetime. That's what we need to be understanding right now. Okay? So when we talk about, how do we talk somebody from going in from this percent to then buying a place and now it's 3% higher, we don't do that. We don't do that, and yet they still buy and sell all the time. Why? Because they have career changes, because they have their kids' schools, because there's all these motivations that change, that all of a sudden, you see what I'm saying? People make decisions all the time that are against their own best interest. Our job is not to change them. Our job is to be there when it happens. That's it. How many years have you guys heard me? For about 10 plus years, I said, visibility trumps ability, visibility trumps ability, visibility. I said it for over a decade. Still saying it. This last year, I've kind of transitioned now, and I'm like, visibility is our responsibility. It's our responsibility. We got to understand how powerful that is. Visibility is our responsibility. I just did this thing on our 9 rules for 2024. And one of them said, you're not in high school anymore. Now, what does that mean? When you're in high school, your whole world is about not being rejected. Even the goth kids dress like all of their friends so that they're not different. We're all different. We're goth. No, you look exactly like every one of your friends. Because our whole world is about not being, just don't be rejected. Just be accepted. Just be, okay, awesome, that's high school. I get it. You got pimples, you got this. It's a tough time. You know everything in the world when you know nothing. You have all the confidence when you really have no confidence. It's just the opposite world. That's high school. I got 2 high schoolers. I get it. I know that's tough to believe, guys, but yeah, 2 high schoolers. But when you leave high school, you can't operate like you're still in high school. Otherwise, you're going to peak in high school. Otherwise, you're the person 20 years later when your friends come through the grocery store, you're bagging the groceries, but you were cool in high school. You were a hell of a party in high school. But you peaked in high school because our job in high school was to not be rejected. But once you leave high school, guess what? Everything gets flipped upside down. And now you lived a whole world where for 18 years of your life, it was don't get rejected, don't get rejected, don't get rejected. And then you enter this world where to be cool, to be successful, guess what you have to do? Get rejected every freaking day, all day long. That's how it works. That's how it works. You want to be the most successful agent in this area? Be the most rejected agent in the area. There you go. Good night, everybody. That's all you need. If you're too comfortable, it's not going to happen. If you live in that world of sitting back and just waiting for your phone to ring, no longer, guys. It's not working anymore. I ran into a guy in the gym recently, and he was giving the eyes. Like, I could tell he was trying to, like, you know, not in a Tinder way, but in like a, you know, just realized what that sounded like. Gentleman over here was getting excited. I saw him, yeah. No, but like in a like, you know, he's like, you could tell he recognizes you, right? And he's like, you know, he's going to try to, you know, accidentally bump into you, right? And when I go to the gym, guys, I'm not one of those go there for 3 hours, work out for 21 minutes. You guys know what I'm talking about? Everybody knows that person in the gym. The whole time is just them taking out their headphones and talking to everybody, right? That's not me. I want to get out, like, let's go, I'm on to my next thing, right? And so this guy walks over and he positions himself for a stop and chat, to which I positioned myself for a walk and wave. And I gave him one of these. And I wanted him to feel that awkwardness, because I don't want him doing that every time we're in here, okay? So I let him feel that, okay? And I realize I don't come over well in this story, but it's true. So then, this guy's persistent. Okay, now I'm over in the corner, and he makes his way over. Here we go. All right, here we go. So he comes over, and he starts talking. He's like, hey, you know, whatever. He starts talking to me, whatever. I'm like, all right, we're doing this. So take the headphones out. I start talking to him. We'll call him Gary, okay? Mainly because that's his name. And so and I'm like, so he starts telling me all about his business. He's been doing this, I don't know, 20, 30 years, something like that. And it was a very interesting dynamic, because at the time, the market in that area was down about 20%. And he said to me, he goes, Jared, I've been doing this 25, 30 years, whatever it is. He goes, I hear everybody saying about how, like, their market's down, you know, 20%, whatever. He goes, for the first time ever, he goes, my business is down more than 20. And it was so interesting, because one of the reasons why I like going around all these places and answering everybody's questions on, you know, DMs and Instagram and all these places and whatever, because it gives me a feel for, like, what's happening and what people are seeing. And one of the things I saw the last year was that while the overall market had decreased by about 15, 20%, the average top producer had gone more than that. And that was so interesting to me. I'm like, well, why is that? Why is that happening? Because in an ideal world and in a real world, consumers probably would like to deal with somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who's been around, right? But what a consumer won't do is they won't change the way that they consume to fit the way that you have done business for the past 30 years. We are in the economy of convenience. Think about that. We're in the economy of convenience. The reason why I call an Uber and not a taxi is not because they're cheaper, they're more expensive. But they let me wait till the very last second, and then they say, I have arrived, and you walk outside. And there is no transfer of payment. It all happens on the app. And there's a rating that goes, and it's very simple. You know, the reason I just go on Instacart and have them get my groceries and might cost a little more, but it's convenience, convenience. Everything we do in this world is about convenience. And then you have these agents that have been around a long time, and they have a book of business, which is great. It'll serve you in some level. The problem is all of those consumers you've been dealing with for so many years are now inundated on this thing with 13, 14 different options every single day about who to use, when they're ready. And what they won't do is they won't, once they're ready, start searching for you like they used to have to do. That used to be what you had to do. There was no other options. And so in this world of convenience, they wait until it's time, and then once it's time, that's somebody's in front of me. Oh, this one's in front of me. And you take this whole thing I've talked about here, visibility trumps ability, but visibility is what? It's your what? Responsibility. Now here's why it's your responsibility. Let's put it all together now. You're not going to talk people into moving from one rate to another or doing, whatever it is. Your job is to what? Be there when it happens. Well, what does that mean? What's that mean? Sending out a recipe for apple pie every 6 months? You guys didn't like that? We all like pie, but I can Google the best recipe in the world and unsubscribe to your email. How many of you would respond to your marketing? This is where you lose eye contact. That's what I love about a small room, right? It's like this isn't it is a convention center, but you guys know what I mean. Like I can see you, I can see like whatever. Like, how many of you would respond to your? You don't have to actually raise your hands. Don't raise. I'm asking rhetorically. How many of you would respond to your marketing? Think about it. Because a lot of us do marketing so we can check the box. A lot of us don't do any marketing at all. We're just, I have my book, I have my, whatever. Okay, great. That means you have no control over your business. By the way, when you have a database, you have a book. That's the number one marketing you should be doing, is to them. That's the greatest return there is. I was talking to Linda the other day, and I was breaking down some stuff from a marketing, whatever. We were sitting at a bar having it, and we were just like literally just breaking down marketing and this and that and whatever. And I was talking about the various levels of marketing and the spray technique and how it's different from where it used to be. And but I told her, I said, the number one form of marketing still to this day is your database. I mean, you can come up with all these different. If I go to one more event where they do, 90 apps in 90 minutes. I'm going to go up, remember those old billboards where people go up and draw mustaches on people? I'm going to grab a marker on that event thing that says 90 apps in 90 minutes, and I'm going to say where you will not learn one thing. What are you learning 90 apps in 90 minutes? Now, there are effective tools. We'll talk about some of those today. There are tools you need. There are no doubt about it. But the role of technology was to free us up to do the things we should have been doing all along. And so when you look at things like your database, things like, it's the one thing that doesn't change. It's like people still have their AOL email being forwarded to their Gmail just in case something important comes through. Think about that. And so when you start talking about visibility trumps ability, but visibility is your responsibility, well, we got to start thinking, well, what does that mean now? Because these people are going to buy and sell all the time in your area. We're going to have 4.71 million sales. That's a good real estate market. Oh, there's just low inventory. Low inventory. Don't raise your hand. How many of you think there's low inventory? Don't raise your hand. You're being set up. Don't raise your hand. Okay. When we did 6.1 million sales, I was told all year long that there was low inventory. Huh. How do you have low inventory with record number of sales? That's not low inventory, guys. That's high demand. They're two different things. Do you know who doesn't think there's low inventory? Listing agents. The people with the inventory. They'd love not another house to hit the market ever. Just sell mine. We're good. So we have to understand when we say 4.71 million sales, that is plenty of sales. That's more sales than when I was selling. That's plenty of sales. The question is whether your name's going to be on them. The question is whether you're an option. The question is whether you are visible. And if you operate like 99.9% of the people in this industry, you cannot be surprised when you don't get the 1% level of success that you're all looking for. You can't act normal and expect abnormal. Make sense? I know there's books out there. If you just think it, it will happen. Good luck. I'm all about positive thinking. I'm all about, I'm also about hating what I'm doing while I'm doing things that other people aren't doing. You understand what I'm saying? You can't act normal and expect abnormal. So when I say, would you respond to your marketing? The way that you guys need to be thinking right now is we're kind of diving down this path. Is his mind any different? Would I respond to it? If I was on the market and I got it from all these, who would I go to? You can't just say, I'm their best option. Great. If you're honestly their best option, then you owe it to them to not allow them to go somewhere else. And if you're sitting back and just seeing where the chips fall, are you really their best option? You're going to market my property? You can't even market yourself. So how's that going to... We say they complained, you're going to throw it on the MLS and pray. You know why they say it? Because for most of you, it's true. Shouldn't be offended unless you should be offended. Now, we're in a closed personal place here, so I can say that to you guys, but it's very true. The ones who are different, the ones who actually deserve the business, that's a different breed. So when I say visibility trumps ability, but visibility is your responsibility. You need to be thinking about your business right now and saying, what the heck am I doing different to be visible above everybody else? When I make comments to you guys, and I'm half joking, but I 1000% mean it. When I say to you guys, if I came to your market, I would dominate you. It's because I watch your market. I watch what you guys do. And I watch everybody get all hyped up. Oh, that was great. What are you going to do? Oh, wasn't Jared great? Oh, and then you walk outside and you go, oh, look, the sun is out. It's not raining anymore. Okay, well, back to action. Back to what you were doing completely before. And it's like, great. But then when I talk to that top producer who says, my business is down more than the overall market, I go, yeah, of course it is. Because you're doing exactly what you did 25 years ago and expecting a different result. And while consumers have changed and changed and changed and changed, and everything they do around them has changed. And then COVID just took that and put it into hyperspeed. Right? Remember, before COVID, I'm begging you all, please get on video. Please get on video. Please get on video. And you're like, I can't. And then halfway through COVID, you're drunk with your girlfriends on happy hour on Zoom every other week, just videoing away. Right? Like COVID took that and just put it into hyperdrive. So what did it do to your consumer? So we're saying, I'm different. I've been doing this forever. You should use me. I have experience. Here's my card. It has a fax number on it. Okay, I know everything I need to know. A fax number. Why don't we just send it over in a pigeon's mouth? It might get here quicker. Freaking fax number. Are you serious? Well, my attorney likes it that way. You're with the wrong attorney. Guys, it is 2024. I don't know how else to, okay? It's 2024. Consumers will not change to adapt to you. So while you're getting upset that they're using people who don't have the experience, who don't work at the same level of brokerage, who don't work at the... Whose fault? Because I would get that card immediately and go, oh, thank you, okay, we're good. We're done here. This is just an intro, guys. You need to be thinking about, like, would I respond to my marketing? What's my marketing look like? You know what's interesting is when you follow a guy like me, here's what's interesting. This is going to sound really bad, but I'm just going to say it. Not bad like that, but it's just the truth. I wish when I was selling real estate that there was a guy like me in the industry that I could watch. Because when I was selling real estate, all of the people I watched, none of them like ran businesses or did stuff or did, whatever. It was all like, here's what worked, here's what worked, here's what worked. The stuff I tell you about visibility, I do every single day. It's not like a, hey, do as I say, not as I do. I am showing you every single day how it works. Every single day. I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not doing. Our business, all of my businesses are the same as your business. I've said for years, marry the principal, date the model, right? Principles that are tried and true. Principles never change. You get in front of a client at the time they need you, before a competitor. Done. That principle never changes. No matter what app changes, no matter nothing. You marry the principle, you date the model, you date the strategy. Those are constantly changing, right? And so right now, a principle, when I say visibility trumps ability, visibility is your responsibility, visibility, guys, watch what I'm doing in my businesses. I don't like being on social. Did you know that? I'm not a social person. I'm an introvert. I don't like people knowing what I'm doing. I don't like having to reply all the time. I don't like everybody just knowing what's going on or whatever. I'm very closed, very how I am naturally. But guess what? Guess what business I'm in? I'm not a dishwasher in the back of a restaurant where no matter what I do, the same number of people walk through the door. I'm the driver. I drive the business. Does that make sense? Yes. You have to understand, you're the driver, not the dishwasher. There's nothing wrong with the dishwasher. The dishwasher can be off social. You, in a world where everybody, billions of, now I know it was easier when you could just turn your thing in for the Sunday paper open house to your local office, and now we just pay our $87 and it's good, let's see if it works. I don't know. There's no way to really know if it worked or not, but hey, I'm marketing. And now we live in a world where it's like, well, I didn't grow up with this. What is it? Who grew up with this, though? Who did? I always love when people say that. I didn't grow up with this. Did I? It's just modern day marketing. There might be someone here. Anybody here like straight out of high school? We all hate you, but like, are you a little too young? I mean, it's just like, we all wish we were you. That's why we hate you. But like, maybe you grew up with it, right? Like, I was saying to my kids the other day, I'm like, you'll never know the feeling to know the break in a classroom when they wheeled in an old TV and you realized you were going to get to watch a movie. Usually took another teacher to help you try to make it work. They'd hit the side a couple times. I don't even care what movie we're watching. We don't have to do work. We're watching a movie. And there was no way to surprise you because they had to take two people and cart that thing into your room. And it was only one room at a time. So you knew if you had the TV, this was... Right? I remember those days. That was, yeah. Guys, I had a pager before it was just drug dealers. Like, I had it was a... It's a minute you guys will never get back. Let's move on. Let's move on. What am I saying to you? Outside of, I enjoyed a good movie in middle school, elementary school, maybe earlier. I'm not that old. I'm saying, I know there's these things that we avoid, but guys, watch what I'm doing. We had again, I was talking to Linda the other day, and I was going, this is what people don't understand. I put out, there are certain things right now when it comes to the social world of like, on the algorithm as far as like what it promotes to people, okay? And we will go spend a bunch of money to send out a bunch of flyers, because we knew that world. And there's nothing wrong with that world. I'm for that world. It's just not either or. We'll spend money to do these, but then we have this free tool that literally goes, hey, I'll go show it to everybody. And we go, no, not today, not today. I don't like how I look. No, tomorrow. I don't like what I sound like. I don't know. I don't know, the office is going to talk about me. They're going to, I don't know. And then social finally releases to make it that much easier for you, because most people say, I don't even know what to shoot. I don't know what to put out there. I don't even know what to do. I don't know. Any of you ever been there? I don't know. What do I even say that's that interesting? I don't need to. So then they roll out these green screens on Reels. You guys seen this? You guys seen this? Okay, if you haven't seen this, I'm going to talk about it as if you have. And if you haven't, when we're done, just go to this new startup, Google. Please stop writing. Please stop writing. But you're going to go to Google. That was way too many of you, okay? That was like, I'm used to one or two. I'm gone 3 months. You guys forgot about Google? Is that the correlation? All right. Anyway, so you're going to go Google and just say, like, you know, how to do a green screen on Reels. So I'm going to assume you can do. Just go look it up, guys. It's so simple. Like, if you are smart enough to be in this room, you're smart enough to do it. It's so simple, so simple. But you haven't done it, so you don't know. But in the social world right now, they're promoting that. That's what they're putting in front of people. Have you guys seen those videos online on like different, on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all these different places where the people literally have like the picture behind them of the article and they're talking about it? It's not even their content. They're just like, look what happened. And then they talk about it. You'll get 10 times the views if you do that. Okay? If you go on my platform, we'll just say Instagram right now, right? I've got in the course of a week, I did 3 videos. One has 1.1 million views, one has 600,000, one has 350,000, whatever it is, right? It's almost 2 million views in a week, right? Let's think about that for a second. And then I did videos, I did 4 videos this past week. One has 70,000, 80,000, 90,000. Now, I'm not saying that you guys need to have that many views. Follow what I'm saying. I'm gonna bring this home. I was saying to Linda the other day, we were like working out or something, and I said, think about that for a second. I put out a video that cost me nothing. 1.1 million views. A drug company, which is the #1 advertiser on all of TV, not even close, they're 70% of all ads, puts out videos on a regular basis called commercials. 1 in 1,000, if not 1 in 10,000 people is their actual end client. Like 99.999% of all the people who see that video are not their client. And yet they will spend millions and millions of dollars. Now think about that for a second. When I make a video that goes out to 1 million people, the way social works is that it actually, with an algorithm, targets and makes sure that your video is showing up in front of the very people who want to hear it. Not spray it out to the whole country and 1 in 10,000 actually care about this drug and the side effects, but every person it shows it to, in their Explore page, in their whatever, is like, no, they're an entrepreneur. No, they're an agent. No, it's all a targeted ad, which is so powerful. It'd be the equivalent of them creating an ad that was seen in front of 1 billion people, that was seen in front of, and how much would they pay for that? And let's bring it back again. How much did I pay? 0. Now, I'm going to bring this down level by level, okay? Now, I make a video 2 days ago, whatever it is, 80-something thousand or 90,000 views or whatever it was, right? And I was showing this to Linda yesterday, and I said, now here's what's really cool about this. At the time, I think it was at like 70,000 views. And she goes, yeah, but are those all your people? I said, no, watch this. And I went into Insights. And it showed 38,000 at the time were non-followers. Non-followers. Don't follow me, don't whatever. Again, let's go back again. How much did I pay for that? 0. You guys are catching on now. 0. And video after video after, now, let's bring it to your level. Here's what's really cool about you. My market is the world. Your market is so close. You don't need 1 million views. You don't need 90,000 views. When you put out a video and it has 317 views that are targeted, because the more you put out, the more it learns the algorithm of who wants your content, because not only do they want you to continue to make content, so they want to show it to people who are giving you, but they also want the people who are on there, the consumer, to have a good experience seeing content they want to actually hear. So when you have 317 views, not 90,000, not 1.1 million, not 600,000, think about that, 317. That means 317 people watched your boring real estate video over Netflix. It means they chose you over season 8 of Walk of the Housing Dead or whatever the shows are. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of shows, guys. But you guys following? Here's my better question. How much did it cost you? 0. Here's a better question. How much would you pay today to fill a room with 317 people that want to hear about real estate live from you? More than 0? Oh, you pay a hell of a lot. Because how valuable is that? You guys following? Visibility trumps ability, but visibility is my. You have the ability every freaking day. It is right in front of you. But you are telling yourself, oh, I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up with it. I don't know. I don't have anything to say. Guys, grab a freaking green screen. Go to keepingcurrentmatters.com. Go to housingwire.com. Go to whatever, like I'm on cnbc.com. First real estate thing. Click. Gonna do the 2 buttons here. Screenshot. Now I've got the picture behind me. Go Google it. It's very simple. You go create a reel, camera, green screen, pick your picture. Boom, there it is, record. Hey guys, you see what happened here? They said the next 5 years, prices are going to continue to go up. So all of you that are on the fence saying, should I buy or should I wait or whatever, here's what I know. You can refinance your rate. You can't do a clawback on where prices used to be. If you could, I would have bought Amazon 25 years ago. So if you're sitting on the fence, if you're one of those 72% sitting on the fence right now, time to get off the fence. Because while waiting for the rate to come down, you're costing yourself tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here you go, submit. You'll get hundreds if not thousands of views from tons of people who don't know who you are. And what was it I said last time I came through? This is when it all becomes real now, guys. I said Instagram quotes have to become what you live or they become what you post. I said your job is to get people or give people the opportunity to know you, K-N-O-W, so they have a chance to know you, N-O. You guys remember that? Your job every day is to give someone an opportunity to know you, K-N-O-W, so they have a chance to what? No, N-O. Why? Because we're not in what anymore? High school. I'll just talk to this side of the crowd, guys. I don't know if you guys are, you guys good? You gonna let them keep winning? But this is when it becomes real. And when I make comments to you, like I said, I'm half joking, but I'm not. When I say if I came in your area, I would dominate you. It's not because I'm better than you. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because, I'm better looking or you're funnier. None of that. Every day, they'd have a chance to know me, K-N-O-W. And guess how much it would cost me? Nothing. Think about that. And the algorithm takes it and goes, oh, you're in this area? We're just going to show this area. And every day you have the chance to be on someone's phone, every day, all day, talking about real estate, talking about real estate, talking about real estate, talking about real estate. And they're like, shoot. This person's winning. This person's dominating our market. Last year when I was here, I gave you a stat and I said 68% of people in the last 12 months had done a transaction with an agent who had done between 0 and 2 transactions. And you all gasped. Oh, how could that be? While you sit back and we're the very ones who let that happen. How does it happen? Because visibility trumps ability. So while you're sitting back going, I'm the best. I've been doing this 27 years. I'm great at this. I'm okay. I'm over here as a consumer watching them on my phone. I don't even know who you are. Never heard of you. I have no idea. Who's this? Hey, let me see what's up here. Let me talk to you. Is that making sense to you guys?
Yes.
Is it actually making sense?
Yes.
Like that's when we talk about today's world, guys, that's the real watch what I'm doing. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. Watch what I'm doing. I make videos all the time. Not because I want to. I don't like doing it. When I'm done with you guys here, Lynn and I have to go away and I got to go shoot 3 more videos. The other day we were getting ready to go, so I said, hold on, I got to do it quick. And I did a reel that got hundreds of thousands of views. I almost didn't do it. But I'm like, just real quick, I got to knock this out. What would I do? How much would I pay? There's not even an arena big enough to fit that many hundreds of thousands of people in a room. When you start to think like that, you realize how powerful it is. I use that example because you guys are going to start doing this, and one of you is going to have 8,000 views, 1,200 views, 500 views, whatever. When you change your thinking and you start to go, how much would I pay to have a room full of people give me that attention, that care about buying and selling? Because that's a very specific video. Guys, that's not a cat video. That's not a prank war. That's not something that we don't care about, we never think about, we don't follow that account. Real estate is so specific. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's just like my world, that when I put stuff out, what I'm talking about is so specific that the people who follow me and the people who watch it, these aren't cat video people. These are like, oh no, that's what I'm into right now. That is what I'm... Make sense? And yet every one of you has that ability every single day for 0. 0. And here's the funny thing. Let me give you a little insight into how I think and how we all need to think when it comes to this. A lot of you will hear this and it makes sense. You're like, yeah, that actually, yeah. I actually do watch everybody else. Yeah, I do sit on TikTok for hours before I go to bed. Yeah, I do watch, true or not true? You guys are sitting there watching videos, you're not doing? Okay, I get people that go, well, I'm older, older people watch. My grandparents watch. It's ridiculous. They send me stuff I've said for years, great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. I had someone at an event I was at recently, and they came up and they said, Jared, but here's the deal, I'm not like you. I'm not. I said, well, you're right, you're not, because first off, I'd never walk up to somebody and say that. But I said, have you ever worked with a client in your life? Ever? And they were like, well, of course. So they accepted you. Over all the options they had, they accepted you. Interesting, isn't it? Because great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. And when you start to put yourself out there are people out there who don't want someone like me. They want someone like you. And you may be bland. You may be straight off of Ben Stein's Professor, there was in the Wonder Years. I don't know. Maybe you get that. Most of you don't. Does anybody get that? Yes. Wonder Years? No? All right. I'll make a Twilight joke in a minute. We'll pull you all around. I don't know. But that is what they like. They want you to be, what you are. You're boring. This is what you do. You're very matter of fact. And, hey, whatever. That's awesome. Because the people who work with you up to now, that's what they've gotten. Because great marketing doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. And so those that are looking for that during that process, you give them a chance to select you by being out there, by scaling who you are, which is how you do that through video. They're watching you. The moment that somebody selects you as their agent in the world we live in today, they've been watching you for 8 months. Most of the events I go to, guys, where I don't know almost anybody in the audience, by the time they come over and say hello, I don't know whether to say thank you or get a restraining order. Because they feel like they know you. They're asking me about my kids. They go, oh, is Linda here? Is she real? It's like, and I'm like, who, what? First off, back up. There is a certain breathing space here, But people get because why? Because they're watching. You have that exact same ability. Every single day, you have that exact same ability. And if you think you're not charismatic enough, if you think you're not good looking enough, if you think you're not funny enough, if you've ever done one transaction, you have everything you need. Because it means people have shown the ability to select you over the rest of the market. Does that make sense to you? So don't act like something else. Don't be. Just be. And what happens is the algorithm will start, the more you do it, figuring out, these are his people. Oh, these are who, all those demographics on the back end of your accounts that none of you look at? There's demographics like crazy on the back end of all of your accounts. And it looks at who's replying, who's into him, who's into her, who's staying longer, how many minutes are they watching, how many are sharing, what are they sharing, what are they, and they take all of that and they go, this person talks to senior citizens. We're going to show it to them. This person talks to you. This person talks to. This person talks to. But every day you don't do it, you're not giving them an opportunity to do that, and someone else is taking them. And the mentality you need to start coming from when we talk about this is, I said this 10 minutes ago, I was going to give you insight, and then I moved on. So insight. I have trained myself in my life, and this is 100% correct. I have trained myself that when I get into moments or I get into things or I get into whatever where I pull back or I don't want to do something or I'm like, oof, yeah, I'll do that but not that. I'll do whatever. I have trained myself to remind myself that that's how everyone else thinks, and this is an activity that gets me further ahead than them. When my give-up technique comes in, I remind myself this is where everybody else does too. Oh, this is when I finally get ahead. Does that make sense? I literally have trained myself to think like that. I get mad at myself if I do any I literally I'm like when I feel it I'm like, oh wait, whoa, what are we stopping for? What are we Linda will tell me all the time. She's like, babe, it's just you. Just being yourself right now. You're just this is just that was just But no, I've trained myself to do that. You cannot have normal habits and get abnormal results. Right? Did anyone here get into real estate to be average? Did any of you turn down a regular job, 3% increase every year, healthcare, to say, look, Ma, watch how average I'll do in real estate? No. It's a different kind of person. But then you can't get into this industry as that type of person and then get lulled into normalcy. Right? You can't get lulled into normalcy. In every level, before you get here, once you're in this industry, there's a certain level of what's normal, and you can't have normal habits and expect abnormal results. We were talking about doing this on a podcast upcoming, where her and I will hang out and everything's normal, and then we do certain things, and she's like, yeah, that's not normal anymore. Like that's, every high-performing person has a little bit of crazy. They got a little bit that doesn't go in the book. It's true. Here's the 4 steps to financial wellness, whatever. You're not going to hear the real. This is going to, hey, we'll sell. It'll be a good seller. Everybody will feel good. But every very successful person has a little bit of crazy. And if that's you, you just got to learn how to tame that stallion a little bit. Okay? But you don't kick the stallion out. That's what makes you who you are. You understand what I'm saying? We live in a world where it's like we're going to be the same. Everybody's got to do it. What are you doing? No, get back in line. Get back in line. We got to do whatever. Everybody be real. Be authentic. Here's 9 filters to choose from when you do it. Just be yourself. Now here's this custom-made filter we have for you. It's true. So we have to understand that. We got to learn how to. Now, can I take it one step further? I don't usually go this deep on this stuff, but you guys all know you're in our programs, right? Like your company pays for it. If you don't have your username and password, you probably should go get that. We're about to do 4 months on getting listings. You might want to be there for that. But there's one more level. When you look at marketing, not what we talked about earlier, would you respond to your marketing? Because most agent marketing sucks. It's just like I said, it's here's the latest recipe. Here's current interest rates. Oh, thank God I'm on this newsletter. Siri, what's the latest interest rates? Unsubscribe. Come on. But when you look at marketing, one of the rules, or one of the things you do with marketing is there's things called like A/B testing, there's market research, you find out what works, right? I won't go into detail on all this stuff, I know you're not here for that, but just hear me out for a second. So generally speaking, when you're doing marketing, what you do is you'll put something out to market and it's like, did it work, did it not work? Now most of us don't do this, we just throw it out there and we're like, did we get a client? I don't know, keep it going. I don't know. Did that billboard work? I don't know, but they asked me about it at my child's party, so it's working. You're like, hey Jared, saw you on the billboard. Worth it. Don't know if I got business or not, but you saw me driving on the highway? Hey, whatever it costs, I'm holding on to that billboard, okay? Might even get more. But you're broke, you have no business. Hey, people noticed. So what you do is you'll put stuff out, this is in proper marketing, and you'll see what the response is. And once you see what the response is, then you go all in, right? One of the rules I talked about, 9 rules, I said that, hey, in a market like we're in, you got to learn to cut spending, but go all in on investment. Spending and investment are 2 different things. You guys follow that? To understand the difference. Not all is spending, okay? Buying a burger is a cost. Buying the burger joint is an investment. Make sense? Okay. So you have an ability now, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I do. Here's the little secret sauce. I'm going to give you the great Oz behind the curtain, what's happening right now, okay? When I put these videos out, one after another, and if you go look at, I'm just saying Instagram, but I mean it's Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, I put them all, everywhere, right? I'm just using Instagram. It's my most active, whatever. You will notice day after day, another video, another video, another video, another video, another video, another video, another video. And with the green screen, it's easier than ever, because I just look up an article, and I'm like, talk about that. Easy enough. Now, what you don't know is one of the main reasons I'm putting out these videos one after another, is because it's free market research. Meaning, based on how they organically perform, I know that's a winner. That's not a winner. Look at that one. They really identified with that one. That one I thought was going to be a winner, but it was a dud. Do you guys see how this works? Follow me here. So one after another, I'm putting them out and I'm watching. And I'm watching the insights on it. And I'm going, how many views, how many comments, how many this, how many that, how many whatever. And then without my opinion, I am seeing from the market winner, winner, loser, 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 winner, winner, loser, loser. Do you know what I do with those winners? Once I know they're winners, money behind it. Money behind it. So the video you see on my platform with 1.1 million views has almost 4 million views on the promoted ad. Same exact video that I went, oh, you're a winner. Money, created a boost. That boost, those views, do not show up on my organic one, on my profile. But I had the ultimate market research to already know you're a winning video. So then I take that and I put money towards it. And when I put money towards it, what I now see is I can either send people to my website, or I can send them to my profile to follow me, or I can send them to any of these places. And what I'm looking for is my cost per. The number of people who watch it, who then, after I'm promoting it with money, it's costing them to go to my profile and follow me, or go to my website and do. Because I have two things I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build my database and my social following. Why am I trying to build my database and my social following? In the old days when you just had a website, before you had like forced registration and all that, you would just be like, come to my website. Let me just do Google pay-per-clicks, come to my website, come to my website, come to my website. And you would pay for them to come to your website, but then when they left your website, what now? What do? Please come back. Please, you don't know. Database and social, when I convert them on those two platforms, because I know they're not ready to buy or sell right now, most of them are 8 months down the road, but if I can convert and get their attention on platforms that give me the ability to hit a button and get in front of them whenever I want, I have now created a situation where they liked what they saw, and now I'm direct to that consumer whenever I want. You guys following, or is this over your head? What are the two platforms I'm trying to get? I'm trying to drive people towards social, and I'm trying to drive them towards my database. So how am I doing it? Content, content, content. You ever put out a video you thought was going to kill, and it was no good? You're like, that's better than you're giving it, like whatever, but you've spoken. No good. But when you get those ones, that again, your metric's going to be different. You put out a video, gets 1,000 views, which for a local real estate, that's like, dang, they responded to that. What are you now supposed to do with that? Put money, guys. Because now when you put that money and it starts getting tens of thousands, how many people is that in your area? Visibility, 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 visibility. You guys following that? Yes. This is the world we live in right now. This is modern day marketing. And guys like me are dominating other people because you didn't grow up in this world, and it's not what you did. Neither did I, but I figured it out. And again, the idea that, well, I'm not like you. You're not supposed to be like me. Great marketing doesn't just attract the right people. It repels the wrong ones. So you're a mom that stayed at home for the past 30 years, and now your kids are off to school and off to whatever, and now you're back in the marketplace, and there is such a market who follows what you do. So what do? You put a spin on it with your personality. You don't be afraid of that personality, because that's what draws in. Okay? Like when you look at what I do, I'm the same person all the time. Like the jokes I make to you guys, I make to her, I make to my kids, I make to whatever. Hey, who I am. Because I know great marketing doesn't just attract the right, repels the wrong. I got to show them who I am. Every one of you has that ability every freaking day. And even if you don't decide to go to the next level of putting a budget behind it, you could be doing the first part for 0. And you are filled with 9 out of 10 people in each row who are not going to even try. That's the truth. Well, that was great, but let me send him a message and ask him what kind of lighting, what kind of camera should I buy? At least I'm not as bad as everyone else. I asked the question at least. Not necessary, guys. Here it is. Ready? Here's all the lighting, camera, everything. Microphone, right here. Right here. The videos that people relate to more than any others are the unprofessional ones. You go look at my one with 1.1 million, hat on backwards. Chilling. Literally sitting in my house I'm getting messages from people about a certain topic, and I'm like, shoot, they want to hear about this. They want to hear about this. Market research. Let's make the video. I talked myself out of making that video 10 times. I didn't want to make a video. I was chilling. Do you know I had a hat on? I probably had bedhead. I was chilling. I was not in that mode. I was probably straight back from the gym. I probably had all sorts of whatever. I was not in what you guys would call video mode. But video mode is whatever I'm doing at the moment. That's what they want. They want connection. They want. So what happened? I was like, flip the hat on. Let's go. Whatever. Had I not done that, millions and millions of people. You don't need millions and millions of people. You need hundreds. You need thousands. What's your average price point? 400? We'll just call it 400. Even if you figure on the low end, just say 2.5%, it's 10 grand. If I paid you 10 grand, you make a video tomorrow? Well, that got a little. Hey guys, here's the part of the story I didn't tell you. Remember I told you about the guy in the gym? So when I was talking to that guy in the gym, and he was giving me all his, what was me? You know, the whole thing. I said to him, hey, can I just be honest with you for a second? I said, no one's going to hear about it. I said, I'm going to ask you a very, very simple question. And I said, I'm not judging you, I'm not whatever, but I need this for my own market research. You're complaining about your business going down more than whatever, but you've been doing business for all of these years and all of this whatever. I said, I'm not even going to ask you about your CRM, because I know you don't use it, or you pay for it and don't use it, but we're not even going to go there. How many people in your phone contacts, you just told me that we're in a market right now that is more volatile than ever, that's more, and he went into all these things. There's more, they need to hear from us more than ever, and he was giving me this whole, I said, how many people in your phone during the time you just told me was more volatile than ever, that they need to hear from you, that they're hearing from the media and it's not correct, and all this stuff. How many of them in your phone have not proactively heard from you in the last 90 days? How many? And he goes, you got me. All right, you got me. I said, my man, I'm not trying to get you. Like, it's just the truth. Well, I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what to, okay. Hey guys, a lot of volatility in the market right now. A lot of misinformation out there from whatever. As your trusted resources want to reach out, if you have any questions, please, I'm right here. If not, enjoy your day. I'll talk to you soon. I can't wait till the day we work together again. My God, was that tough. That's top level stuff right there. You know what it beats? It beats nothing. So I said this to him, and I said, I'm not trying to get on you, man, but like that's so simple. Like that's, come on. In a market like where people do have questions, where they don't know what's going on, where they are like, is it a good time, is it not a good time, like whatever. If they're not hearing from you, they're hearing from you. So you fast forward. I see him 2 months later in the gym. And he comes over again. And I'm like, I didn't make the point enough. And he goes, hey man, you're not going to believe this. And I never know how to respond to that, because I'm kind of like, well, what do you think we're doing here? Of course I believe it. Like this is trying to help you here. And he goes, you're not going to believe this. I've listed 8 houses from that one message. And he was feeling great. And I said, Gary, I don't want to be a downer right now. But I said, let me tell you how I see that and how you need to see that so you keep doing it. That means over the past year, how much money did you cost yourself? And he's like, God, I felt so good when I walked over here. So that's what I do, just killing dreams, one at a time. But it is true, though. I'm like, that's amazing, man. That's awesome. And in his market, that was worth a good amount of money. His average price point was probably around you guys, about 400, 500 right in there. That's a lot of freaking money. But more importantly, if I wanted him to keep doing that, I need him to understand how much he was losing. Because we are not in high school anymore. Every day we're doing something to get rejected. Every day we're doing something. So what I talked about over here, very practically, with like just doing green screen videos, doing reels, doing whatever, like that's simple as it is. Like that is literally like once you learn to do that, I did it in front of an audience recently, and I literally just showed it to them, and they're like, "That's it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it." Now when you start talking about other things, you talk about prospecting and doing some of the things that I had him doing or whatever, that's a different level of, that's not even really rejection though. People who know you being like, "Hey, nothing but have a great day. Great to hear from you." By the way, if somebody does respond in a way that's like, "You know, you loser, take me off the list," well, at least you know. They don't belong in your phone. But while we're living for those people, we're costing the people we actually care about the ability to have a great lifestyle. Think about that. Because we don't want to get rejected. Well, you're going to get rejected one way or the other, on your home loan or on your prospecting. Rejection's coming. It's just a matter of which, you see what I'm saying? And so we have to start to think like that from a visibility standpoint. I want to talk a little bit more about visibility, but I want to talk a little bit about skills as well. Because I think we're at a time right now where, skills matter. I spent the last year, and audiences everywhere, I talked about this, the pros versus amateurs, pros versus amateurs, pros versus amateurs market. And everybody loves that until they understand what it takes to be a pro. But what I do know is you can't run around like an amateur every day and expect to get paid like a pro. And that's what a lot of us are doing. Well, I've been around for a while. That does not make you a pro. You might have been a pro 15 years ago. Okay, Ronnie Lott was a pro. Don't put him out in there now. It's not going to go over well. Okay, like just because you were a pro back then doesn't mean you're a pro now. We're in a whole different set of circumstances. We're in a different world. And you got to know how to respond to people. The difference between a pro and an amateur, guys. An amateur is someone who practices enough to get something right. A pro is somebody who practices so much they can't get it wrong. They don't even know how to get it wrong. You guys understand that difference? An amateur practices enough to get it right. A pro practices so much they can't get it wrong. They don't even know how. You ever driven home and like you don't even remember turning the car? Like you pull onto the street and you're like, how did I get here? Because I don't remember turning. I don't remember stopping at stoplights. I could have hit a child. I don't know. But here I am. You guys ever done that? Some of you have driven back to your ex's house. And you're like, how did I get here? This is just a pattern, I guess. But you don't even think about it. Have you guys done that, yay or nay? Not your ex's house. That's not what I was saying. Just pull it back around. Pros, amateurs, though, you got to start looking at, like, what are the things people are asking now? What are they saying? When I said that thing I said to you before, is it a great time to buy? What's your answer? Yeah, because I don't make as much on rentals, and I got bills. So you'd really be doing us all a favor if you just stop asking that and just buy a home. That would be really, what do you say in these situations? Like we've really got to start thinking about this. What do we say when somebody's at a listing and they've heard all of this stuff? Have you guys followed these lawsuits? You guys are aware there's lawsuits going on? I just want to make sure. Again, it's too soon. It's still going on, guys. You guys know that, right? I mean, really the most it's utterly ridiculous. Think about it for a second. They hired attorneys to sue the industry. They could have used any attorney. Could have repped themselves. Could have found a cheaper one. But they paid based on the value of the attorneys they felt like. It sounds a lot like our industry. And the very thing that we got found guilty of, price fixing, if we're guilty, those attorneys did the exact same thing. They could have charged less. They could have done it themselves. It's utterly absurd. The idea that this industry, and I don't think it's going to be upheld, by the way, but the idea that we're guilty of price fixing when we can negotiate, you can go somewhere else, you can list yourself. How is that possible? Like, what is going on right now? And yet, we're in that situation. We still need to pay attention. Are you guys in your area, do you guys legally have to do buyer agency agreements or no? Okay, you probably should. It's funny to me how many people are afraid to ask clients for an agreement when they represent them as a buyer, when they're buying and selling the largest asset they're ever going to own. And yet it's because you just didn't come up doing that, many of you. You just go out there and, sure, I'll pay $89 a gallon for gas. We'll see how this goes. And yet for a lot of you, though, there is a very interesting point to be made here. For most agencies, for most realtors, they're going to have an issue getting people to sign buyer agency because there's no incentive to the consumer to sign a buyer agency with them. They can go to any person they want to, and it's going to be exactly the same. Whether you guys recognize it or not, do you know that that's not the case for you? Your company invested in a tool called First Up, F-Y-R-S-T-U-P. I hope you all have downloaded it and are using it. If not, you're going to have trouble getting buyer agencies assigned. But First Up, this tool that they invested in for you, remember I said in the beginning how there's a lot of different tools, there's a lot of waste, then there's tools that they make your job easier, right? You don't want to be a buyer agent without a car. Can we agree the car is an amazing tool? No one wants to ride the bus to work buyer agent, right? That car is a tool, right? So when you talk about something like First Up, F-Y-R-S-T-U-P, you guys all should have it downloaded. What that does, do you guys remember the old days where you'd sit in front of a whiteboard? And before COVID, even before then, every week there was a thing before the whiteboard, in front of the whiteboard, and you had your weekly meeting, and you would see what was coming soon, and what open houses were there, and do you guys remember those days? For those of you who have been around for a little bit? And so that was very valuable, because what would happen is that the time between when you list a property and it goes on the MLS, you're allowed to promote that listing within your brokerage in a completely compliant manner. Okay? Now, there's been all sorts of rules on the outside as far as going to other agencies, whatever. Now, those initial rules as far as promoting that listing to your brokerage, from the time you list it to the time it's actually going to go on the MLS, that still exists. What better advantage to be able to sit in front of a buyer and say, hey, when you work with me, yeah, you'll have everything that everyone else has. We all have access to the MLS. We're all going to work hard. We're all going to do whatever. But you get access to a proprietary list of sellers that nobody else gets access to just because you committed to me in a low inventory market. You think that matters to a buyer? When all of a sudden, every one of your listings is going on here like it's your whiteboard, everybody in the company's here, here's what's coming. Do I have anybody? Every one of you is putting your buyers on the app, now it's matching, and now that listing agent's being told, you have a buyer, that buyer is going, listing just matched, and now you guys are able to make deals in a completely compliant manner without having 57 different offers once it hits the MLS? You guys aware that you have access to that? I say it all the time. If you're starving and there's a steak in front of you, it doesn't fulfill your hunger. You have to what? You got to take a bite. You guys have that tool now. You're the only company that has that tool. Might want to be using that. Might want to be communicating that to people. That's a huge advantage. Even when it doesn't work out and you don't find them something, just being able to communicate an advantage many times is what makes the difference between you winning and not winning. Going to a listing presentation, bringing your little insert and explaining to them that as soon as we put this on here, it's going to buyer match with all the people in my company. We're going to know immediately, and I'm going to start talking back and forth with people in my office, with an office of your guys' size. You can't just be using it. You got to be communicating that. That's a huge tool for you. And the beauty of that tool is that it's not one of these where it's like, let me hold it for myself and let's see how it. The more that get involved, the more everybody wins. And so the goal there is not just, yeah, there's an ROI. Yes, in a compliant manner, you're able to know about properties beforehand, and you're able to, it's also a communicative tool. Now you're talking to each other. Because you'll never see the actual buyer's info. So if you're the listing agent and somebody in here puts their buyers in and it matches, it won't show them the buyer's info. It tells you the agent that has a buyer, and now you guys talk. So there's nothing at risk there. Communication back and forth, all to help your clients, and all for a better ROI for everybody. Especially when we talk about a low inventory market. Imagine you're getting in front of people and you're like, hey, anybody else you work with, you're not going to get this. When you work with us, you have a list of proprietary list of sellers that nobody else has access to. How valuable is that? That's called being a pro. Understanding your tools, understanding how to communicate. What do you do when you get to the end of a listing presentation? They're like, this is great. But I know agents who will do it for less. What do? Do you say, oh, how much less? That's a pro. You need to remember that everything you do is a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to hire you. You guys follow that? Everything you do with a buyer or a seller is a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to hire you. So when they say, oh, I really like you, but I know agents who will do it for less. You guys say, well, I know agents who will do it for more. So it sounds like we're right where we need to be, right in the middle. And now they're looking at you like, nobody responded that way. Well, the question becomes, who do you want to negotiate the largest asset you're ever going to own? Somebody who just bows down every time you ask for less? I know who'll do it less. How much less? Will you sign today? Oh boy, yeah, you need to sell my $1 million property. That's a great idea. I know agents who'll do it for less. I know agents who'll do it for more. Sounds like we're right where we need to be, right in the middle. So you want to get it on today, or do you want to sign and get it on Monday with more? Like, confidence. You got to say it with confidence. And guys, I'll tell you right now, the difference between confidence and arrogance, it's one exit. You guys follow? There's a difference between being confident and being arrogant. And nobody likes arrogant. Everybody loves confident. It's one exit. If you miss that one exit, you move into arrogance real quick. But usually the thing that keeps you in that place of confidence and not arrogance is when they see that you actually care, you're doing the things that are in their best interest, you're prepared, you're a pro, you're confident because of your preparation. But you're doing what's in their best interest. What do you do when they say, well, I really like you, but so-and-so said they do it for blank percent. What do you say? Well, if I do it for that, will you? Like, what do you say? Well, it's a two-parter. You got to allow for a little awkward moment. By the way, all these dialogues, all these scripts, they're all on your coaching dashboard. You all have access. You got to practice this stuff. What did we say in the beginning? Amateurs practice enough to get something right. Pros practice enough, or so much, they can't get it wrong. They don't even know how. So now you're standing in front of that person, and they say to you, well, I really like you, but so-and-so said they do it for blank percent. You got to stop confidently, allow for an awkward moment, and say, well, at least so-and-so knows what they're worth. And then look at them. And then say, but lucky for you, I know what I'm worth, and I know what your home is worth, and I'm going to fight for its value the same way I fight for my own. I'm tying the value of you, the value of your home, to the value of me. It says here, well, so-and-so said they do it for blank percent. Well, at least so-and-so knows what they're worth. But I know what I'm worth. I know what your home is worth. And lucky for you, I'm going to fight for its value the same way I fight for my own. Make sense? And now they're like, oh, crap. Yeah. Well, I didn't expect that. Everything I do is a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to work with me. So when I'm confident and I'm answering their questions, what's happening here? They're going, oh, that's a pro. Yep, you're negotiating my property. Like this is, yeah. There's a difference. But you have to, guys, I don't have notes I'm reading. Some of you are like, maybe you should. No, I don't. I don't have notes. I don't have anything. Why can I do this? I haven't done an event in 3 months. Why can I do this? Practice, practice, practice. It's so in here. You ask me questions on how to answer. It might be a little different every time, but I know the spirit of it. Like, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. Quality of the answers is always determined by the quality of the questions we ask. Okay? And so I'm a pro. It doesn't matter if I stop this for the next year and jump up. Like, I'm still in prep all the time. I'm prepping more the last 3 months than I was. That's why I stopped. Because I'm like, I'm not just going to keep doing events every day, and I forget what I'm even, like, I need, what's my voice? What do I believe right now? You got to be a pro. They got to see the difference. You can't struggle with it. It's got to flow. And it's not a, they say this, you say this, they say whatever. It's not that. It's a buffet. You got to know when it's time. Right? Everything we do is a script, guys, right? Like when someone, you're like, well, I don't believe in that. Okay, great. Next time conversation gets awkward and someone goes, oh, weather's great, isn't it? That's a script. You learned that when it got a little awkward, bring up the weather. Talk about how long the weather's been like that. What's the weather like where you come from? What's the weather like? It's like, oh my God. What are we doing here? We're following our script. How are you? I'm good. What do you mean you're good? You just got into a big fight with your spouse back there. Your kids hate you. Your dog ran away. Like, what do you mean things are great? That's what you say. How are you? I'm good. We just follow our script. And then we come to stuff that actually makes us money, and we're like, I am not scripted. I'm an authentic person. Yeah, let me see your favorite filters on your phone. We'll see how authentic you are, okay? You guys following? Like, quality of your questions, quality of your answers is always determined by the quality of the questions you ask. That's it. It's all. But you got to practice. You got to practice. Oh, I don't want to feel stupid. You know, because you got look. You got to practice in the mirror. You got to practice with your coach. You got to practice. Like, I don't want to feel stupid. Well, you got to choose your stupid. Because you can feel the stupid that comes with practicing in front of your coach, or you can feel the stupid that comes with operating in this industry below your potential. That's stupid. You guys follow? That's stupid. You're in the gold mine, and yet many of you are living paycheck to paycheck. That's stupid. So which stupid? Because one of them's got to choose your stupid. Feel stupid practicing, or feel stupid underperforming. Which stupid do you want to? Because we're going to get stupid no matter what. What was his name? Stupid is, stupid does? What's his name? Forrest Gump. There you go. I was going to say a little more current, but that's probably 30 years ago. It was a movie. You're looking around like, yeah, it's a movie. You'll see. So practice is part of that. When we get in front of people, we know what to do, right? You get in front of that. You guys ever gotten in front of that alpha? You ever gotten in front of that alpha seller? Right? And you get in front of that alpha, and it's like, they're like, you know what? Before we even get to any of this, I don't want to waste any of my time. If we can't first agree on a price, we can't first agree on your commission, none of this matters. You guys ever dealt with that D-bag? Anybody? If you haven't, you're brand new in the industry, because it's coming, okay? And you're going to get that person. Could be a man, could be a woman, but someone who's in there, you know what? None of this means anything. I don't want to waste any of my time. How do you respond? You pick up your ball and go home? I'm not going to work with them. Good for you. Just giving up tens of thousands of dollars. Bravo. Your family thanks you. What do? An alpha only respects a larger alpha. At that moment, you got to be a larger alpha. And if you have you have a dog? Anybody have a dog? You ever heard of a dog? Spell dog? Someone? I love that you guys think I can't see you. Like it's, you know. So you do these big conferences and like convention centers where you can't see anybody, and it's okay. There's no reaction, whatever. Here, like I'm looking right at you. Like it's, you know, so when I say something, you're just like, you know, right through. It says, hey, right here, I can see you. So have you heard of a dog? Yes. Okay. Dogs understand alpha mentality. Like dogs understand alpha. You know, like if my dog does something wrong, my kids come in the door and I walk in the door, he's under the dining room table. He's like, oh boy, like I've done something wrong, okay? He knows. Alphas only respect a larger alpha. And that's why in sales, you got to have that chameleon effect. You can't just walk around and be everybody's buddy. Jiminy Cricket, you know, just whatever. That's great when you deal with, I haven't said Jiminy Cricket in decades. Okay? Probably since Forrest Gump came out. But you have to mimic the people who are in front of you. You have to, right? And so for example, you have someone who's more of like a C like personality, like an engineer personality. You need to show details. You need to show step by step. You need to show whatever. You get me at an appointment, this better not take a long time. I'm done. And you better not show up late. I'm done. Right? You got to know who you're dealing with. So you get that alpha. What's that? It's
arrogance or confidence.
Yeah, hey, you show up late, you did this. I didn't fire you. You fired yourself. Right? I just followed through. Look, that's my personality is I'm a time guy, right? You got to understand who you're dealing with. So when you get that alpha, who's all of a sudden like, I don't want to waste any of it. No, I'm not this guy. I wouldn't say this to anybody. I actually think this is a bit of a jerk. But this happens. They go, I don't want to waste any of my time. If we can't first agree on a commission, none of this matters anyway. What do? You got to be a larger alpha, which means your shoulders have to go back, which means your head's got to go back. You got to look them straight in the eye. And you got to say, you know what? You're right. I don't want to waste any of my time either. Whose time? My time. I'm taking back control of that conversation. You're right. I don't want to waste any of my time either. Thanks for letting me know that that's how you make decisions. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it in my head. But I'm saying, I don't want to waste any of my time either. So I'll tell you what, let's make a deal, because alphas love deals. Just make a deal. We're going to negotiate my commission right now, but you have to promise me one thing. If you win this negotiation, you have to promise me that you will never hire me to sell the largest asset you're ever going to own. Deal? You just look at them. Usually at that point, their spouse will elbow them and say, you feel better now? And you'll just watch their head spin a little while they go, oh crap, this didn't go over as planned. So let's follow through on that again. Again, guys, you guys have access to all these dialogues, so you can go practice, okay? But that alpha sits there and goes, hey, you know what? I don't want to waste any of my time. If we can't first agree on your commission, none of this matters anyway. I've dealt with a few people here, so we just need the most important stuff first. Hey, you know what? You're right. I don't want to waste any of my time either. So I'll tell you what, let's make a deal. We're going to negotiate my commission right now, but you have to promise me one thing. You have to promise me that if you win this negotiation, you will never hire me to sell the largest asset you're ever going to own. Deal? Done. And usually at that point, they're like, okay, all agents are created equal. This is clearly the person. Because they're thinking about the person they just beat up to 4%. And the one that they beat, and it's like, well, I can't hire them. Yeah, that's a pushover. Can't have that. That's skill. Skill. What other skills do we need? We're in a world right now where you're going to start having a lot of people coming off the internet again. I know you guys hate that. Hate these internet leads. I want you to remember leads are just people who used to be referrals. But now they go online. So how do you deal with them? We have a rule amongst our students that you follow up until you get one of two fingers. I'm not going to read the stats off to you guys, but most of you will never even follow up once. And then you will tell your broker how the leads suck. Or they're not serious. By the way, there's a good, I'm going to come back. There's a good one. What do you do when someone, when you talk to them, they're a potential lead, they're a referral, and they go, you know, I'm not really looking to sell. I'm not really looking to buy. Is it okay if I do this skill stuff, guys? Is it all right? Because this is what you need right now. What do you do when someone says, I'm not really looking? You guys ever had that person? I'm not really looking. I just filled out my info online on a real estate site to go through to a stranger. Complete mistake. You guys ever had that one? Or you get referred to somebody and you're like, oh my God, I got a referral, seller, let's go, right? Control yourself, act normal, one chance. You're an animal, let's go. And you just, right? Pick up that phone, you're all excited, your tail is wagging, and then they're like, thank you for calling. You know, Betty's a good friend of ours. We're not really looking to sell right now. Talk about the wind getting taken out. What? Well, okay. Please remember me when you do. What do you say? You're like, you tell us. That's why. Here's what you do. Anytime someone says to you, I'm not really looking to buy, I'm not really looking to sell, you follow up immediately with curiosity when you go, now or ever? And they go, no, not ever. We're just waiting until Johnny, it's summer and, he's off from school so we can move. And you're thinking, well, that's 7 months from now. Well, that's a seller to me. Yeah. They have a different definition of what a seller, what a buyer is than you do. And if you accept their definition, you move on and they work with someone else. Because the quality of our answers are determined by the quality of the questions that we ask. Everything we do is a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to what? Work with us. So when they've said to every other person, I'm not looking to sell, I'm not looking to buy, and we went, well, thank you very much, sorry to take your time. When we retort back and go, now or ever, like you're never moving? It's a long-term decision to make right now, don't you think? Now again, you're not saying that. I see some of you writing down. That's me thinking out loud, guys. You gotta know the difference, okay? It'll all be on the scripts, okay? I'm just gonna, very simple, now or ever. Like I'm surprised, like what? Oh, now you're never looking to sell again? You're never looking to buy again? I don't know what jeans I'm wearing next year. I'm not making decisions permanently on my location right now. Like, again, thinking out loud. I'm gonna say now or ever, and they're gonna go, no, of course not ever. We're waiting for this. We want Johnny to get out of school in the summer first so that we can move to the new. And now you perk back and you're thinking, oh, you are a seller. But you have to remember, in their mind, they don't want to waste your time. And what you have to remember is that they came from the exact same world that all of you used to come from. And let me explain what I mean. It used to be in real estate that when you were ready, you didn't have access to all this data. You didn't have access to all of this Zillow and Realtor.com and now Homes.com. You didn't have access to all that. So the only way you had access was to go through what? One of you. And so when they were ready to buy and sell, what they would do is they would raise their hand and talk to one of you. But by the time they talked to one of you, it meant, I'm ready. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to go. And so that was the world they grew up in. When you talk to an agent, it's because you're not going to waste their time. You're moving forward. You guys following? So that's the world they came from. So when they're 6-7 months down the road, they're thinking, not ready yet, because you don't talk to an agent until you're actually ready, because that's the world they came from. And you're sitting over here going, no. I'll talk to you for the next 6 months. We're good. Like that's what I want. But you have a disconnect in what your values, what your definitions of things are. You guys following? But you don't know that unless you ask better questions. Because the quality of your answers are determined by the quality of the questions you ask. And while everybody else gives up on that the first time that they give you an objection. Guys, what's an objection first off? An objection is a bunch of things, but let me tell you a couple things that it is, okay? Now first off, I'm gonna make a statement. We're in a market right now where your level of success moving forward is going to be determined by your ability to substitute skill where talent used to be enough. Yes, follow? We're in a market right now where your success moving forward is going to be determined by your ability to substitute skill where talent used to be enough. Now it's a skills-based market. Objections are nothing more than the other person signaling to you, I'm willing to extend the conversation. Think about what I just said. When you have no interest in what's happening, you don't extend a conversation. You look for the conversation to be over. No, thank you. No, thank you. When you go to a car dealer lot, right? And you start walking around, you're there for something, I'd hope. It's a very specific place to go. And yet every one of you, when you walk in and somebody starts to, like a dog coming to it, just starts to follow you over, and here we go, here we go. And then they go, hey, can I help you today? Whatever. Every single time, what do you say? Just looking. You all know. No thanks, sir, not looking for a car, just a little lost. Because you're not extending the conversation, because you don't want to have the conversation. You don't know what you like. You're like, leave me alone. To extend the conversations means that we're having a conversation, which I don't want to have. And then, even if you like a car, or you drive a car, let's just go there. You drive a car, you go drive it. Car sucks, it's terrible, you don't like it. Do you say, well, I don't know about these payments, let's go have a talk? No, I don't care about the payments. I want to get out of here. If I'm willing to talk about payments with you, it means that I'm willing to extend the conversation. So you have to remember that every single time somebody objects to something you say, that is not a denial. That is them throwing up a flag saying, I'm willing to extend the conversation, which means there's some level of interest here. which means your success moving forward is going to be determined by your level of skill, not talent. And while everybody else in your industry hears objection and goes, here we go, another one, another no, these leads suck, market's so hard, there's low inventory. You have to learn to change the meaning of the things that are happening in front of you every single day. Because they're happening every single day. And one of you is going to hear that objection and go, oh, interest. And another one of you hears objection and goes, oh, God, here we go. Same situation. One of you, what did I say to you earlier? When things start to get like, I don't want to do that. Most of you go, well, I'm not going to do that, just like everybody else. What did I tell you I've trained myself to do? I don't want to do that. And neither does anyone else. Crap, I got to go. Like, got to do it. See the difference? So objections are not a bad thing. So when I say to you, now or ever, their objection was, I'm not looking. But it wasn't the truth. It was their truth at the moment. It wasn't the truth. You got to ask better questions. Because a lot of us have money filtering through our hands every single day, every single month, because we're just not, we're not looking for, we don't know what to ask. We don't know what we're looking for. We've conditioned ourselves to believe that these objections are no's. And what we have to do is stop saying no for other people. So when I say to you that you follow up with a client until you get one of two fingers, it means you follow up until they say, hey, let's work together. Or you follow up until they show you another finger that means, let's not work together. And I'm not going to show you what that finger is. You guys all got it. You all got it. But until you get one of those two fingers, stop saying no for other people. Let's pull it back to what I said before. Everything you do is an example of what they can expect to get when they make the right decision to hire you. When you follow up week after week, month after month, whatever, and finally 8 months later, do you know what they do when you get a hold of them and they haven't responded for 8 months, but they're actually ready to look at a house now, or they're actually ready to sell it? You know what they do? The first thing they do? They apologize. I'm so sorry. Thank you for following up. We've just been really busy. You know, the kids have been doing this. You guys ever experienced that? And you know why they called you? Because everything you did was a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to hire you. And while everybody else fell off and told them in the beginning they were the right person, you were demonstrating what was going to happen when a potential house came on they wanted and how you were going to go after it. You demonstrated to them what was going to happen every lead that came through on that listing of theirs as a potential buyer. And while everyone else fell off, you're like, no. See what I do? I stay in touch. I don't want to annoy them. I don't want to bother them. Guys, this isn't cold calling. We didn't buy a list of people. The only reason you're following up with people is because they were either referred to you, they filled out a form, raised their hand, came through. This is not cold calling. So we got to get that out of our head. They might say no. They might say, we're not in high school. You guys following? We're not in high school. So skill set. Your ability, your success moving forward is going to be determined by your ability to substitute skill where talent used to be enough. And it comes in all these areas, whether it's seller, buyer, whatever. I said the quality of your answers comes from the quality of the questions you ask. Let's cover one more before I move forward here. Can I do one more? One more? I'm going to, let's be honest, but I'm looking for agreement. If I saw one or two nods, I was doing it. Let's be honest here. So when you're dealing with someone, people have, I'm in the middle right now of rewriting all of our dialogues, all of our scripts, because the markets get used to like what you say. And so you have to do what's called pattern disrupt in order to move people forward, okay? And we know that when you're talking to someone, when people are talking to a salesperson, they want to say no. That's what they've learned to do. Unless you're a salesperson, you're the easiest yes of all. I don't know about you guys. If anybody helps me on any level, I buy what it is they have, even if I don't need it, because I'm just like, you've worked so hard. I know how difficult your job is. Like, I don't want you to waste your time. Like, salespeople are the easiest people to close. But people want to say no to salespeople. That's what they do. And so when you're in situations with people, you can't ask questions that allow them to say what it is they want to say. You've got to change the question. So if somebody reaches out and they ask to, they want to know what their home is worth. But the only way that you can figure out what their home is worth is by actually going into their home. Like, you can't guess. This isn't a Zestimate. And by the way, for all of you in here upset that Zestimates aren't accurate, what did you want? Do you want them to be accurate? I'm not really sure what we're complaining about. The moment those are accurate, you're not necessary. So I think it's a good thing that they're inaccurate. I digress. So now you get that request. Somebody wants to know what their home is worth, and you reach out. I say, hey, just saw that you reached out about, I think that's a turn up at that point, right? Yeah. But I can do this. Turns out I'm going to be there. I'm taking the pressure off of them. Okay? Hey, turns out I'm going to be there tomorrow, around 6 o'clock. Would you be offended? It's key verbiage. I'm going to say it and then I'll explain it. Would you be offended if I stopped by for a quick on-site 5-minute price consultation? Okay. So let's watch what I just did right there. Number one, I did not use the word CMA. What the crap is a CMA, guys? We're bringing in some music awards or something? We're gonna do, what are we talking about? They don't even know what that is. Well, we'll just do a comprehensive CMA. Well, that sounds expensive and boring and a whole lot of other. I said, hey, turns out I'm gonna be there around 5 o'clock tomorrow. Around. Would you be offended if I stopped by for a quick on-site 5-minute price consultation? Okay. So I said on-site price consultation. I said 5 minutes. Is it ever going to take 5 minutes? Nope. Whose fault? Theirs. Once they realize you're not some internet troll, whatever, they're going to start asking you questions and but I can do this in 5 minutes, but they never let that happen. I just need to get in the door. Why? Because 72% of people work with the first person they have a conversation with. So I need to get a conversation. I need to separate myself from all of these other people you're reaching out to. I need to. So I say, hey, would you be offended if I stopped by for a quick? Now, that's the key term. Would you be offended? Would you be offended if I stopped by for a quick on-site 5-minute price? Would you be offended? Now, I know it's 2024, and we're offended by a lot. But that's a tough one to be offended by. Now, they've got to answer rather quickly because this is how Communication 101 works. When you and I are talking, if you don't answer in the agreed upon time frame, this goes awkward quick. Did any of you see that Kanye West interview on Joe Rogan where for like 30 seconds he's just staring forward and finally Joe Rogan's like, what is happening right now? Anybody see this? And then finally Kanye just comes back and goes, I just prayed right now. And it was like, just now? So what I'm saying is they don't want to be Kanye. They want to answer a lot quicker, okay? Because when you're talking to someone, there is an acceptable amount of time that they have to respond. Otherwise, it gets weird quick. Would you guys agree with that? Like if I said something to you and I was like, hey, how are you doing today? And you were like, I am good. I'd be like, what? What's going on in the Matrix today? Like, what happened here? Are you with me? Like, it'd be weird, right? So when you do what's called a pattern disrupt and you ask a question which is not what they expected and it's not normal, and they have to think about the answer, they're also thinking, gotta give an answer, gotta give an answer. I don't want to be Kanye. Now, they're not thinking that, but they're thinking like, this is gonna be weird. So when you say, would you be offended, there's only two possible responses to that. I requested someone to tell me what my home is worth. You're saying you're going to tell me what my home is worth. You're saying you're going to be in the area. Would it be offensive for you to come and actually give me what I asked for? Two possible answers. One is yes. Yeah, that's offensive. I'm sorry, that was offensive? Like that is, what's offensive about that? So they don't want to answer that. So while they're going through their head going, what's the answer? What's the answer? What's the answer everyone wants to say to a salesperson? No. No, that would not be offensive. They get to say what they wanted to say, and I get what I wanted, which was what? A yes. You guys see that? It's all in the better question. I don't say, can I come over? They're like, I'm sorry, what? Can we exchange names first? Maybe buy me dinner? You're just gonna... stop by. Actually, I'm outside the door right now. Okay? I've been watching you through the window for 3 days. Yes. I don't know what that has to do, by the way. That was weird. But you guys follow. But I'm getting the answer. I'm getting to where I want to get to by asking a better question. I'm saying, hey, would you be offended? Would you be offended if I stopped by? And they're going, what do I want to say here? I can't say yes, I'd be offended. Crap, only one other answer. No, I like to say no to salespeople. No, let's see how this goes. All right, great. See you tomorrow at 5. Let them say what they want to say while giving you what you want, which is a yes. That's a pro. I'm going to keep repeating the same thing to you guys. Everything you do is a demonstration of what they can expect when they make the right decision to work with you. And the sea of sameness with all these other agents just going in, and I just make them like me. I'm a matchmaker. Hey, everybody, I'm a dancing clown. Do you like me? I'll sell your house. When you demonstrate the ability to actually be a pro, well, now you separate yourself. Make sense? Okay. How else can we be visible? How else can we be visible? Because in order to even get to sales techniques, whatever, you got to be visible, right? Now, I'm not going to cover a lot of it because you guys all have access to our programs. You have access to the 4 months we're about to do on getting listings. Now, I do not expect you to follow 4 months on getting listings. That's never the goal. What's interesting is you all have different personalities. You all have different ways of doing things. You all have different things that you're good at. You all have different, what you need to do is you need to pick a couple things and just stay consistent. How many years in a row have I said consistency's undefeated, consistency's undefeated, consistency's undefeated, right? What I don't want is to be in a room full of people who, when I say, well, what are you doing every day to actually create listings happen? It's crickets. Just, I work really hard. Okay? What are you doing? Just like I asked you the question about marketing, and I said, would you respond to your marketing? I'd throw it back to you now and say, and not for you to all the answer, but just to think right now, what specifically are you doing each and every day that actually creates listings? There was a study that was done recently, and I'm not even sure if this is up here because I don't remember which slides we sent. So let's see if it's here. If it's here, great. If not, I will just talk about it. Here you go. It is here. So they did a study recently, and they found the conversion rates on all the different ways of creating business. Now, all of these different conversion rates are not completely accurate to the individual. Meaning, if you take something like open houses, it says 15 to 1. I'm going to give you all these slides, guys, just so you know. I'll give them all to you guys. We'll get them to your leadership, and you guys can have all the, there's a lot of slides I didn't even use. Really good. They're really good, I promise. But you have to understand that even those ratios are not, they're not guaranteed because, one person converts an open house at 3 to 1, another one converts at 20 to 1, the average is 15 to 1. The point is you need to know what it is. By the way, another thing that your First Up app does, the First Up app, is that you actually, when you have open houses in there, you can say needs a host, and now you're all talking to each other. And now if you're someone who maybe you don't have all the listings, but you need to get in front of people and you want to do open houses, you go into your First Up app within your office and you go, needs a host, and you contact the agent. I'll be the host. I'll be another way to get in front of people. But the point of me putting this in front of you is not to confuse you guys with math and whatever. It's to say, hey, what are you actually doing? I've come through here many times and I've talked about a lot of ways I'm not going to talk about right now. I'm going to talk about a new one with you. But the greater point that I want to make before I do that is, don't think that these stack on each other and now you're doing 15 things a day. Unless you have the structure to do that. Some of you might have the structure to do that. But the greater point I want you to understand is that when it comes to our business, the way that we actually grow a business, when it comes to profitability and it comes to actually creating transactions, is that we learn to maximize the surges. And let me explain what I mean. I saw a report recently and it talked about how much a real estate agent makes an hour. And I looked at that and I went, okay, there's something about that from a coach where we say to people, hey, how much did you make the last whatever? Now break that down by 52 weeks and now break that down by da-da-da and break that down. Oh, you made $87 an hour. And then we go, look at those activities you're doing. Would you pay someone or would you pay $87 an hour to do? And you start I get it. But there's a fallacy in all of that as well. And here's what I mean. When you look at your day and you look at maybe some prospecting you did, maybe some circle prospecting, maybe an open house you did, maybe a post that you created that created business, or whether any of these things that were up here that created business, The way we would do it that it's flawed is that if we made money that day and it was worth a certain amount, we would then take that and go, well, I worked 10 hours, so if I take that money and I divide it by 10, well, then this is what I made per hour. It's a fallacy. It's not true. You made that money in the 1 to 2 hours that you spent doing that activity. You spent 8 hours doing a bunch of nonsense that created nothing. We just geared it together because the sun comes up and the sun goes down. You guys following? So when I say maximize the surges, one of the things that you've got to do in your business is not only look at, okay, here's the techniques I follow, but you also have to look back on your business and say, what techniques worked? What are the things that actually bring me business? Because success in this business is not about putting in a strong 60 hours. It's about having 6 hours during the week where you maximize the surges. You guys following? So that time when you're actually proactively doing your circle prospecting, going and covering someone's open house or your own, creating that content piece that I talked about that's going to go, or doing the thing I'm about to talk about that don't take 40 hours, but they're what actually created the business. Once you figure out what it is that actually creates the business, now you know that's the surge. Every time I make this many calls on this listing around this thing, this is what happens. You guys following? Every time I have a listing, I call that neighborhood or I walk that neighborhood and I say, hey, just wanted to let you know your neighbor's property just came up for sale over here. Not sure if you were aware, you had some questions. They answer me and then I go, hey, you may not be aware, but your neighbor's property being listed may have changed the value of yours. Would you like to know how it may have changed? They're like, yeah, I would like to know how it's changed. Statistically, that's exactly what happens. And now I talk to them and I list their house. And their house is worth $14,000 to me. And then the rest of the week I make no more sales. And I take that $14,000, I divide it by 40, and I'm like, oh, look at that. How much I made per hour? No, you didn't. You made 14 grand in an hour. You made 0 the other 39. Does that make more sense? So what we have to do as business people is start to understand where those surges are. Because every audience I get in front of is filled with people who, the richest person in the audience, the brokest person in the audience, almost all of them are working the same hours. And they sit back and go, well, why is it? I want to do well. I'm trying hard. I'm doing... And I sit over here and go, yeah, because not all hours are created equal. Right? There's business, B-U-S-I, and there's busyness, B-U-S-Y. Those are two completely different things. And just because we learn to put in the hours doesn't mean we're getting the results. I did a video a couple months ago. This is one that got a lot of whatever, and I talked about my drunk uncle. It's a true story. Talked about my drunk uncle, and I talked about how everyone tells you the variable to success. You go interview billionaires, millionaires. What's the number one variable? You got to work hard. Oh, you just got to work hard and follow your passion. It's such bull crap. Work hard. Like, my drunk uncle worked harder than anybody I know. He was the town mason. I mean, his whole body was mangled from working hard. Poor his whole life. So what happened? I thought that was the most important. How many people you know that work hard that aren't rich? Some of you are like, they're in my seat right now. Guys, working hard was like the batteries to a child's toy. It's supposed to come with it. It's not the variable. And that's what everybody tells you. No, it's not. I know a lot of hardworking people. Guys, I have 2 brothers. 2 brothers and a mother who never graduated high school, let alone college. Okay, I graduated high school early, turned down a soccer scholarship, worked full time, did like whatever, like same household, same everything. I got 2 brothers who worked their butts off, probably harder than they should, because you pay later on for choices you make earlier. And then you got to make up for all the easy you did earlier, and you got to work harder later to make up for it for less of a return. That's how the world works, by the way. And so I got 2 brothers who worked their butts off. They don't do well. They're both poor. Hard work's not the problem. They're hard workers. I can look around example after example after example, and it's because they haven't learned these principles. 2 things I'll talk about with you, but number 1, They have not learned that the variable when it comes to success, when it comes to, is not hard work. It's not. It's leverage. That's how people win. They win through leverage. And then the other thing I want you guys to understand was what I was just talking about. You have to learn to maximize those surges. I'll talk about leverage in a second. You got to learn to maximize the surges. What are the surges? Some of you could work 10 hours a week and produce at the same level or more than everybody else if you would just get out of your head and stop being afraid of everybody thinking you're lazy because you're not working as hard as them. You're not. No, they're being dumb. You could create in a very short amount of time with understanding surges and understanding leverage. How do I run multiple companies flying all over the world while my brother's a mechanic working 50, 60 hours a week and getting paid nowhere near the same? How's that happen? Anybody tell me? How's that happen? It's not a fair world. Surges. I surge where I leverage the surges where I need to. Where am I valuable? And then everything else I leverage over time, not in the beginning. I had to learn everything. But then after I got it. Okay, system around it, leverage, get somebody, go. Next, delegate, next. So you got to start looking at where are the surges. You know, the number of people who, I gave that example earlier and I talked about social with the reels and whatever, and I get most of you won't do it. Okay, good on you. Someone else in here will kill it. But here's an easy one every one of you could be doing. So simple, but still not enough people doing it. To win in an area, what you really need to be, you need to be known. Right? When they think of real estate, they need to think of you. You need to be visible. You gotta leverage other people, right? Leverage their following. If you're afraid of making content, why aren't you doing a weekly or bi-weekly show every single week or every other week where you interview some other business owner in your area, you give away a gift card from them that costs you nothing, and now you leverage the algorithm. And let me explain to you what I mean. If I was in your area, I would have a weekly show where I would have on the owner of the new Mexican restaurant who would come on and talk about their new burrito and talk about whatever. And I'm Jared from so-and-so, Central, whatever, and I would come in and do that whole thing. I'd interview that person. And I would say, by the way, at the end of this Friday we're going to be giving away a $100 gift card, a $200 gift card, so you and your family can come check this place out. All you have to do to enter to win is comment below and tag someone else that would want to win and share this to your following and make sure you follow us on here. We're going to pick a winner on Friday. Do you know how badly people love to win free stuff in their area? We did this with one of our students about 2 years ago in a very small market. She started doing that very simple thing I just said to you. In the beginning, she started interviewing once every 2 weeks. Then it was once a week. Then it was several times a week. You know why? Because all the business people were reaching out like crazy going, can I be on? Can I be on? Can I be on? Do you know how much money she spent on it? Zero. Because the way the algorithm worked was when it saw all of those comments, all of those tags, all of those shares, all of those follows, what did the algorithm do to her simple, she's not like a great interview, whatever, but to her, what did it do to her every single time? In her local area. Thousands and thousands of views every single week. She's getting credit for giving away gift cards. She's not giving a dime away. And who are they all thinking of, even though they're talking about the new burrito at the Mexican Grill? But who are they thinking of? Who's the source of it all? Jared from C21. Like, she would do it. She still does it. Week after week after week. Thousands and thousands of views. She's the most well-known person in her area. Every one of you could be doing that every single week. That's the stuff that frustrates me, just so you know. Because I know that most of you are not. And while we're over here thinking about, what's the next thing? Sometimes it's just so simple. It's just, and then when you get technical with how the algorithm works and how, it's not about likes, it's comments, shares, thought, like that's the stuff that they start to go, okay, show it to more, show it to more, show it to more. You start tagging it, that's how you do it. Can anyone here not do that? Before you know it, you'll start having the salons reaching out, and you'll start having the local baseball committee, you'll start having that, they're like, can I be on? Can I be on? Can I be on? And who's the source of it all? The more things change, guys, the more they remain the same. You've got to be visible. Visible. And then once you get visible, I'm not even sure if I have this here. Let's see. I'm not sure if I do. I'll just bring it up. Once you understand that visibility, once you understand how that works, You then have to go to another level where you start understanding leverage. What's leverage? I use this example at our advance where I showed like a teeter-totter, right? And it's amazing because when you look at a teeter-totter and you have it like at its point, you have that wood plank and it's at its equilibrium, what happens with it? It stays exactly as it is, right? And if you put more weight here or more weight here, what happens? Whatever has the more weight, it starts to teeter-totter, right? But the interesting thing about leverage is that the further you move that wood plank down the line, the more weight you can get on one side that's not equal to the other, and yet it can still win. And that is leverage in a nutshell. It's not 50-50 equal this, whatever it is. It's not that we all have the same amount of time or that we all have different amounts of time or we all have. Leverage is understanding that if you can start to take those activities, that plank, and start to move it down the other end. Now, there's many levels to this. The easiest, simplest level is that every single person in here needs to be using a transaction coordinator. Take that off of your plate. Not necessary. The thing that makes you great at being an agent is why you suck at doing paperwork. And honestly, when you're sitting there doing all that paperwork, it's the wrong signal to be sending to people too. Also, when you get busy, whose experience changes? Theirs does. It's like, well, I'm crazy now, so you're not going to get everything you would have had in this workflow before. Hey, now I got plenty of time. You're going to have an amazing experience. Makes no sense. So you first start looking at your business. And yeah, you do look at things like a TC. You do look at things like an admin. By the way, why do I say TC before admin? Because it used to be admin TC. TC, first off, is number one because there's absolutely no risk. You pay when it happens. If it doesn't happen, you don't pay. Really that simple. Now, what I hear from a lot of people is, okay, they go TC and then they go to admin. They go, well, can't they be the same person? Because the TC and the admin are the exact same personality profile. So people go, well, can't I just have my TC be my admin? Makes sense. Was anybody thinking that? Here's why it doesn't make sense. Because the very thing that happens in most people's real estate business, the reason why they have kind of this roller coaster experience, is because they get really busy. They do marketing because they're slow. They get busy, and then they put all their resources towards managing transactions. And when they start managing transactions, what gives up? Marketing. So then they close all the transactions, and then they wake up the next day and go, oh shoot, I don't have any transactions. So what do we do now? We start marketing for transactions, and we go right through this thing. And so the reason why your TC is not your admin is because while they're the same personality profile, while they're the same whatever, when you have them doing the marketing to create what you need to do, to create whatever, okay, great. Now you have transactions. Now they're crazy busy with the transactions. What do they give up? Marketing or managing the transactions? Got to give up marketing because I got these transactions right in front of me. So once I give up marketing, what have we now committed to? The roller coaster ride. And that's what happens. So the next level, once you realize those surges, because what I really want to teach you guys is like, look, it's not about putting in 50, 60 hours and killing it and whatever. It's about being able to do less and killing it just the same. Which again means giving up on other people's opinion of how that looks to them. Because how many of you know people who are very unhappy with themselves will tell you how unhappy they are with you? Right? It's very true. I did one of the 9 things that I talked about with the 9 rules for 2024. I said something that I think a lot of people misunderstood. And I said, the key to happiness is having no expectations. People are like, what? That's not very optimistic. How can you say that? That's terrible. So follow with me. Just about every issue you have is because of an expectation. Just about every relational issue. They didn't do what they want. They didn't pick the right restaurant. They didn't. Just about everything that just didn't go like I thought it would. I did not expect to get traffic. I thought it was going to be smooth. I thought it'd be sunny when I came to California. I thought, expectations. And yet when you think about it, what very unhappy people do is that they create these expectations for other people, okay? Which are really more like pre-designed landmines that are expected to derail that person and the relationship they have to that person. And they don't even think of it like that when they do it. but it's because they're so unhappy. So at least I can take control over this level of, I'm not going to be happy anyway. I know this is going to fall apart and not be good anyway, so at least I had control over it. And they don't even mean to do it. But what they do is they set out landmarks. They set out landmines for the people around them. And then that person will skip over 8 of them, doing just fine, picked the right restaurant, said the right thing, wore the right thing, did step on 1. See? It's all because they set up this war zone, right? And so I say that to you because when we talk about our own businesses, again, when you're in an industry with people who all kind of produce the same thing, like this is an industry wherever anybody does something different, we call the board and say, ethics. Well, it's not allowed. It's like, what's not allowed? What are you talking about? It's like, it's what this industry does. Because we don't like different. We don't like innovation. We don't like. So when people are able to succeed on a certain level, but we're busting our butt, have no time, have no relationship with people, have no whatever, we're like, well, that can't happen. That can't. So you got to let go of that. You got to let go of that. Because you can do, when you understand surges, when you understand the things that actually make you money, and saying, well, what is all this other crap I'm doing over here? Well, that did nothing. But I worked all day and everybody saw me work all day. Well, who are we doing this for then? What's that mean? So let's pick the surges, and then let's look at leverage. And leverage is not only within your business. I could go so much further with that. Like I said, TC, ABBA, we can go further. It's never one buyer agent, it's multiple. You always have multiple buyer agents. Why? Because they cost you nothing. When you have one, how do you know if they're doing a good job? You don't. They tell you the leads suck? I guess so. 2 or 3 of them? No, you suck. That person's doing great. Same leads. Competition. So there's leverage within your business, but then there's also leverage personally, and that's where a lot of you are missing it right now. A lot of the top producers that I deal with, they love to hear the message about leverage when it comes to, how to build out structure and how to maximize your surges and but when you start talking about personal leverage, that's where you see a lot of them lose it. If you guys saw the amount of personal leverage that I put in, you might hate me actually, because a lot of you operate the way I was talking about before. I leverage everything. Everything. I have someone who shows up at my house when I'm in schedule, or wherever I am. They show up with a mobile car wash. I have somebody who shows up wherever I am to take care of my dog and do whatever. Groceries are delivered. Like, do you know why I do this? I could literally give you a list all the way down. Do you know why I do it? Because the things that you like to hear from me that I tell you guys to do, when you actually see someone do it, it drives you crazy. And so I believe in leveraging and operating multiple businesses, multiple streams, doing whatever. I also believe my kids are in high school, and I like to do things with them. You see what I'm saying? And so when you talk about leverage from a personal sense, some of you need to stop and start looking at your business and say, okay, we're going to get this level down, which is we're going to maximize the surges. We're going to figure out we're going to figure this out. We're going to put the hard work in to figure out what that looks like. We're going to get our coach. We're going to get whatever it is. But once you do that, what's the next level we're going to now? There is no award for working 60 hours a week. It's necessary at some point, and you'll have your seat. You're still doing it 20 years down the road, you're not winning. I go to conference after conference after conference filled with panels of people who hate their lives, sitting at them, telling everybody else how to be like them. And really, I'm thinking, blink if you're in trouble. Because we don't really want them to be come on. You guys following? I'll get back to the business stuff, but all of this matters, guys. All of this matters. What good is it if you're killing it over here in your business, you're killing it, and then over here you're like, oh God, I'm working because I hate being over here. I'm working. You see what I'm saying? You got to look at leverage is everything. And there's no competition for who's putting in the most hours. Results are all that matter. That's it. How are we doing? What are we doing? What do we got? What's the results? And while people get ticked off about it, let them hate their lives. You move on with what it is that you're supposed to be doing. That's it. Because you only get so much, right? I'm lucky enough to say what I just said to you guys. I got kids in high school, so I'm like, shoot. That's why I've been saying no to every event. Because I'm looking at my kid's schedule going, oh, I think we have a game there. Nope, that's not happening there. Nope, that's not. And Linda's going, babe, you got to say yes eventually. No, I don't. I actually don't. That time goes, right? What good is all the work if you're not going to enjoy? You guys have heard this before, but it's so true. Does that make sense? Can I move on, or is that, do we kind of drive that home? Don't lose the practical of what I was saying in there when we're talking about the surges. When I start talking about what you can do with your community and what that looks like and what that, guys, there's room for everybody. There's people in here going, oh my God, but now that person's going to be, oh, I wish she wasn't sitting in the room right now. Like, crap, what if she starts doing it? I got to start doing it too, and whatever. Let me tell you what I learned. Linda and I started a health group at the beginning of the year to help some people like get in shape and whatever. Everyone drops off in a week, so it's all good. So you just stay consistent. It's the truth. 23% of people by the end of week 1 gave up on their resolutions for the new year. I think it's like 49% by the end of the month. It's like, 9% ever actually achieve. Don't worry about other people hearing information. The information is not what matters. The execution is all that matters. You can have mediocre information and all-out execution and win over somebody with amazing information and limited execution. The execution is where the win is. It's not the perfection of it. It's not any of that. It's, let me go try this out. That didn't work. And by the way, you guys are all students of ours, so you start getting into it, and you start like doing a community thing, or you start like, whatever. We have a group on Facebook for you guys called Jared James Coaching. When you start getting in, you start creating these community things. You start like putting out like, here's a gift card we're doing, and here's whatever, and you don't immediately get the response that you were hoping to get. Don't just go, oh, I knew this was crap, and go back to what you were doing. Go into our group. There's 25,000 people in there from all over the world and say, hey, started doing whatever. What did I do wrong? Here's the post. Here's what it looks like. And you will start seeing people comment, I did it too. You got to do this. You got to tag here. You got to do. The smartest person in the room is always the room. People call our office all the time, but I want to talk to Jared. Jared. No, guys. The smartest person in the room is always the room. So when you have access to something like that, go try, screw up, and then try again. And then screw up a little more and try again. Or you can stick in what you were already doing that wasn't working fully, which is why you decided to try something new to begin with, which we know there's no result there. Okay? And while everybody else in your area is going, and you're screwing up, and you're like messing up, and you do something wrong, and they're going, can you believe she did this? Or can you believe? While they're over there, can you believe in? What are you doing? It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more. You're a little more further ahead. You're a little bit more further ahead. You're a little bit more. And that kind of growth is the kind of growth that sticks. Because anything that can be built overnight can be torn down overnight. You don't want overnight everything just bam. You want to kind of incrementally what's going on here. Okay? But you've got to be looking for what those things are, because there's always two businesses you're in. You're in the business you're in and the business you're going to be in. Those are the two businesses you're always working on. And we spent a lot of time in this industry working on the business that we've been in. Yet the consumers are up here, and they're still buying and selling houses. Remember all that talk the last 5-10 years? Agents are going to be eliminated? You guys remember that? Every other Inman headline? Every other, you're going to be eliminated. Every other, okay. Where are they when they tell us by the year this, you're going to be gone? Where do they go? Wait for the next one that everybody believes. You're going to be eliminated. It's the way of the internet. There is a distinct difference between your business and almost every other business on the internet. This is not buying a pair of brown shoes, size 10. Connect your PayPal. A 4-bedroom colonial for hundreds of thousands needs to be, it's an emotional experience. It requires live, in person. Like, we say things like buyers are liars. No, they're emotional. You ever had someone who's like, don't show me anything less than 2 full baths? I need 2 full baths. I got nothing but girls in the house, and I need 2 full bathrooms. Then they go to an open house, make an offer on a house with a bath and a half, and they come to you and they go, well, you didn't show it to me. Why didn't you show it to me? You guys ever had that? And it's not that they were lying. They were emotional. They walked into the bath and a half, and they went, this feels like home. Feels like home. So we've got to understand that that's the market that we're operating in, okay? I'm going to close and open up because we have some time left for Q&A, and I was hoping to do a little bit of Q&A with you guys. Does that sound good? Can we do a little bit of Q&A? I've got something I want to close with at the end, but I want to, if I can, get to a few questions because you guys are actual, like I know you guys, and I take a lot of questions from you guys. And so I would love to know what are the things that you guys are actually hearing? Like what are the things that you want to know about? What is the best way to do this? Jared, you talked about that strategy. What's the best way to do that? Rather than having 60 seconds of awkward, is there anybody who has a question before everybody starts having a question about anything we've talked about or the industry overall? Questions? Questions? Raise them up. We'll wait. Go ahead. I'll come back over. I called it. I'll come right back to you. Go ahead. I'll go to you first. Go ahead. I'm going to repeat the questions. Don't worry, guys.
On your social media, do you use a business account for your Instagram account?
Great question.
Or is it a personal?
She said, on my social media, do I use a business account or a personal account? That is a great question. And if you go online long enough, you'll find that I've recommended both. And that's because they changed their rules. I am in a business account now, a professional account on Instagram. Instagram is unlike Facebook where you don't have to have a personal account in order to have a professional account, okay? The reason why I changed and I said that your account on Instagram, you can go into your settings and just move it over to a business or professional account, just literally click a button and it's there, is because the algorithm is now the same. Whereas before, it used to show people more to your personal account and less to your business. Now it doesn't matter, but a business account gives you the ability to not only see the insights on your posts, on all those things I talked about and who's following and all that stuff, but it gives you the ability to promote your posts. Whereas a personal account, you can't do that. So if you have a personal account on Instagram, switch that over to a professional. If you're in this room, because I know someone's gonna ask it, you're like, well, I have one for my personal, because I don't need them in my business doing whatever. And then I've got my business one over here where I'm always like, what the heck are you doing on your personal that you're streaking? Like, what are you doing right now? The things that make you you are what make you you. That world of business personal, that veil is gone, guys. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not a thing anymore, okay? And so yes, you're gonna show them doing professional stuff, but you're gonna show them your kids getting on the bus, your grandkids, your date night with your spouse, when you do something stupid, when you do your, whatever it is. Both. That's what connects them and separates you from every other agent in the area, just like every relationship you have. Think about it. The relationships you have that are your best relationships, your closest relationships, your whatever, it's because they know the stupid jokes you tell. So let them see that side. That's fine, okay? So business, personal, there's nothing, okay? Be yourself. Now, you're out with your girls, you've had 7 shots, put your phone away. I'm not talking about it all, okay? But guys, if you follow me, you'll see that I put up I'm gonna be on a guy's trip this week. I'll probably do a cheers with my guy. I don't get, look guys, I'm not worried about you thinking that I'm something that I'm not. Oh, you posted cocktails? What are you, an alcoholic? Was that what it means to you? You have a drink, you're an alcoholic? Well, I'm sorry for you, but no, I'm with my guys. We're just having a good time. I don't, By the way, on that same note, something I should have covered, but it's so true. The most valuable place on the internet today, do you know what it is? The most valuable view left on the internet today. Do you know what it is? Stories. And let me explain why. On the top of your phones, when you're on Facebook, Instagram, any of these places, right? You have your stories at the top, which are those little circles at the top, right? So we're not talking about your news feed. We're not talking about the videos that show up there. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We're talking about those little circles at the top. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you're not, open up one of these apps later and just look at it. Those circles at the top are the last place on the internet that have nothing to do with an algorithm, have nothing to do with anything. When I post an Instagram video, when I post a YouTube short, when I post a Facebook, when I post a TikTok, when I post a whatever it is, number one, all of my people don't see it. Number two, a lot of those views aren't even real views. They're it showed up in their timeline, and they had to scroll by it in order to get to something else. But it just was the algorithm saying, here, let me see, you like that? Do you like that? But they didn't go and select it. It just showed up in their algorithm, in their news feed. Does that make sense? Every single view on your stories, those little circles at the top, is somebody taking their finger and going, this isn't showing up in my news feed. oh, look, Jared, I want to see what he is doing. And they click it with no algorithm, with no anything. It's the most valuable view left on the internet. Does that make sense? There's no gaming of it. There's no putting it in front of you. It's you. Every single one of those views. If you get 72 views on your story, it means that 72 people in your world cared enough to take their finger for a second and go, what are you up to? No algorithm, no anything, just what are you up to? That's so freaking valuable. Okay, so don't undervalue that. Like that's the most valuable view left on the internet. It's why I do, even when you don't see me do posts every day, I do stories all day long. I get people who don't watch any of my stuff and they just watch my stories. And they, like that's it. What's going on with your life? You're like, but I'm not interesting enough. Do you watch the Kardashians? They're not interesting. Not interesting at all. That's the success of reality TV. We saw how much we watch uninteresting things. Okay? People love what you consider boring, someone else loves to watch. So what's going on with you right now? What's going on with, like, picking up this, having drinks with the girls, whatever. Give people a chance for you to be visible. Cost zero, okay? Give people a chance to cyber stalk you. That's what I'm saying. This question was up here, right here.
How long should the reels
be? Good question. She said, how long should the reels be? Can I get technical a second? Okay. So when you start talking about reels and people watching your videos, you have to understand how important the hook is right in the beginning. This is actually good, because I wasn't going to go here, but I'm going to. So I had a thing on Instagram the other day where I said, oh, congrats, 50,000 followers, like, so cool. It was like a week and a half ago. And now it's at like 52 something. So in the last week, we've gained another 2,000 whatever. And it was such, for me, an example of what I could say to you guys, which is that if I started fresh right now, had nothing, I would still gain thousands and thousands of people because I know what to do. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So when I make a reel, number one, the easy answer to your question is how long? Instagram, Facebook, you can go 90 seconds. YouTube Shorts, you can only go 60 seconds. It's so freaking annoying. I take that 90-second one, I'll throw it up on TikTok. I know you all think it's still just little girls dancing around, but a lot of people in here, okay, who are like old enough to I'm not gonna use that example. That was a good stop right there. That was a good stop. But they're old enough to not have me tell the joke, sit and watch TikToks all day. Okay, like all these platforms start off super young and then they age up. So Instagram, Facebook, 90 seconds. I try as much as possible to keep mine 60 seconds or less because then I can put them on YouTube Shorts as well. But when I can't, I can't. It just is what it is. Now here's the more important point though. When I make videos, I specifically think about like the shareability of it and what it is that you're gonna look for. So part of me looking up articles when I do those green screens is that I'm looking what's in the news and what matters to people, which is that's what it'll do for you as well. When you start looking in, you see consumers are thinking this, rates are doing this, whatever. You're also seeing what your consumers are seeing, which they're being trained what to focus on. They're being trained what to think about, okay? And so when I do that, I think twofold. I think about you and what's going to educate and update my real estate community, and then I think about what do they want to share to their community. So it's not just will you watch it, I'm thinking will you share it, right? And so when you look at that video that I just did, whenever it was, a couple days ago or whatever it was, this is very specific. When I did this video on, I should know this, but here it is. When I did this video on 49% of agents in the last year did either 0 or 1 transaction, right? And I titled it and I said, not all agents are the same. Now, who is that geared towards? That's geared towards you, but I know that you want to tell your people that, right? Because you're like, Jared said, like, look guys, we're not all the same, we're different. And then I go in there and I educate in that video, but then I end and I basically say, so what I'm basically saying is if you've got an agent who's made it and whatever, they are worth their weight in gold. Not all agents are the same. And I update the consumer and I'm like, hey, you get into a job and you've got different titles along the way. They don't. You got to do your due diligence. There's some great agents out there. They're worth their weight in gold. You're reading it and eating it up like candy. And then I know you're going to take that and share it to your consumer, which does what for my video? That takes my video, let's see if we can, which has been shared 850 times on that platform alone, on one platform. But it wasn't an accident. I knew I was thinking about you, and I'm thinking about the end user after that. You need to think like that. The other thing I'm doing is I understand my hook. People decide very quickly. Let me show you how people watch their phones now. You ready? Here's how they do it. You ready? We used to watch a show. Remember we talked about how you wheel in the TV? And we're like, oh my God, it's a movie. And we're like, right? If you wheel that into my son's classroom now, he'd be like, what? And it was NASA getting rid of their inventory from the 80s? Okay? Here's how they watch now. Like, what's grabbing me? Right? So you have to think about those first 2 to 5 seconds, the hook. Sometimes you'll see me take a video and I will clip a portion that is the most important portion, throw it to the front. And then I play the regular video because I need that hook to grab you. Does that make sense? So when you're making a video, you need to be thinking to yourself with the consumer. Let's think of a current headline. So right now, we know that they're saying there's going to be more home sales this year. It's going to go up, to around 4.71. Who knows? All forecasts are bullcrap. So we'll see. They should just call them guessing. Isn't that really what it is? Here's my professional guess. We're always wrong, but nobody checks us for it. So whatever. So when they do that and they put that out there, I would take a video like mine, right? And like you're taking all the stuff that I'm looking at, and I'm looking at what's happening with home prices. You can't claw back, you can't rate, you can't whatever it is. I would go make a video, and I'd be like, basically if you were thinking about selling or thinking about buying or whatever it is, I talk about the spring market and how demand. Well, here's one. Okay, so Bright MLS just came out and said 72% of buyers in 2023 backed out of the market due to rates, and almost all of them now statistically say they're getting back in the market. 72% of them. What do you think that's going to do to demand? Yeah. So I would do a video on the spring market and be like, hey, you're waiting until the spring? Probably a mistake. Remember those 45 offers, those when you'd say I'd do anything to not whatever? You don't have to do anything. You need to buy now. Right? And I would have some kind of a hook that was basically like about avoiding or about how you're going to be into 45 offers again, about how you're going to, something that's going to trigger them and go, whoa, what? What's going on? I need to grab them. That's called a hook. And then after I have my 3 to 5 second hook, I then go into my content. Right? So think of it like breaking news. What is it? Think of it like that. So every video you create, even when you do those green screens or you come up with that content, or you do whatever, don't just think of it like you're talking to a friend. Yeah, so I was looking at this earlier, and you're right, that's what's going to happen. And so what I think you should do is you should probably go and do whatever. Good for you for initial videos, go for it, if that's what you're going to do. But once you start getting a little smarter about it, if you want to separate yourself from the market, understand how consumers consume. And say, 3 to 5 second, what's my hook? What's the one thing that grabs them here? Say it. Then do your video. Another thing, when you're doing your videos, think about your intro and your outro before you do your video. Because a lot of you make a great video, and then you end up having to shoot it 30 times because you never thought about how you were going to outro. And you don't know what to say. So you shoot a great video, you're patting yourself on your back like, I'm doing awesome. But then you get to the end, and you're like, yeah, so that's all, folks. I don't know what to do. Oh, I got to reshoot. Because you didn't think about your outro. So do you have a call to action? Do you have something to whatever? Think of it all beforehand. Make sense? Okay? And while I am a big proponent of I generally don't do a lot of takes, I generally don't do a lot of whatever, I will also tell you that when it comes to these videos, when you're doing reels and that kind of stuff, while I'm not saying shoot 27 times, I'm also saying because it's you controlling it, don't be afraid to do a few takes just to hear yourself think. Okay, so I will shoot a video sometimes from a content perspective, and if I'm not doing it myself, I have my office here, I'm like, hey, this is probably going to be a few whatever, I need to think out loud. I need to think what I actually think about this. I need to hear it. And then I'll be like, da-da-da-da, and then I'll stop myself, and I'll go, got it, I know where I want to go. And then I'll start shooting, and then I'll be like, wait a second, I just made the connection, because I heard myself think. I'm like, I thought out loud, and I'm like, there it is, got it. Don't be afraid to do that. Because then you see that end product and it all comes together. I had a video someone wrote the other day. They were like, that's so perfectly said. I don't even know how you can. And I'm like, well, I did that 3 times because I was thinking out loud. And I'm putting it together. Okay? Don't be afraid to do that is what I'm saying. But be smarter than just, I'm putting up videos, I'm putting up video. What's your 2 to 5 second hook? Know your intro and your outro, okay? Get in there and just, that's that. Does that make sense? What are the questions, guys? Question over here, yeah.
Was there a trend that surprised you as either a success or failure in the last 12 months?
Is there a trend that God.
Market or marketing? In the market or marketing?
Is there a trend that surprised me? Actually, yeah. Actually, that's why you hear me talking about it right now. The green screen thing surprises me because it's so unprofessional. As you're moving around, your head's cutting off. It's a green screen effect. So it's like somebody's on acid watching you shoot, and yet it works. It's not like, professional you're doing. It's just like I'm behind this thing, and I'm like, that's really that's the worst green screen I've ever seen. It works. So something like that. Generally, things don't surprise me because it's just like whatever. But that probably did surprise me, which is why I love it so much, because I'm just like, it works. It's. And that's the thing too, guys, like don't worry about whether you agree, disagree, whatever. You gotta pay attention to the trends, and they change. So 6 months from now, I'll be telling you, hey, green screens aren't working, now you gotta do this. Now you gotta, whatever, now you gotta, but if you stay on it, it's easy to make those transitions because they'll have a button where instead of pressing that button, you press this button, But if you're not in it, it all just sounds overwhelming. You're just like, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out how to take selfies. I still do it from the lower level, and my kids tell me it should be up here, and whatever, like, you gotta get in it in order to understand. That's it. You gotta play in the sandbox, okay? Yeah?
What should new agents do?
What should new agents do? Okay, great question. A lot of answers to that question. Full podcast on that question. Full YouTubes, but I'll give you my number one advice to new agents. My number one advice to brand new agents is to understand that it's boats over fishing in this industry. And let me explain to you what I mean. Everybody gets into the industry and all we think about is lead creation, lead creation, lead creation. It's just business, 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 because we're afraid of failing. And what happens when you do that, when you just come in and try to create business, try to create business, try to create business, is you start the pattern of what most successful agents later on create, which is what I talked about earlier, where they're finally successful. They're doing 50 transactions a year. They're telling everybody else how to be like them, and they hate their life because they have no structure. They have built a prison around themselves that they now operate in, and everybody's like, I want to be like you. And you're like, I'm serving life over here. You don't want to do this. Because they got so busy that they can no longer be productive. And so when I say boats over fishing, here's what I mean. We all need to fish. That's lead creation. I get it. But more important than the fishing is the boat. And you can't go shark fishing in a canoe. And so the first thing you do before you start getting into throwing those lines out and everything else, because if you want to catch a lot of fish, you got to throw a lot of lines, you got to build a bigger boat. Which means all the things that everybody's going to get to when they slow down in this room, things like building their CRM, things like hiring their TC, things like those kind of boat building activities, which are the infrastructure that allow you to actually grow and have that. Remember I talked about the ability to actually have that structure and have that leverage? That's the boat. So what I would tell a new agent is before you start picking up all the bad habits of all the experienced agents in this room, who if they could pull you aside would be like, oh my God, build the boat first. Get into your CRM, interview your TC, like now. It doesn't cost you anything. Get into that stuff now. Because when you start growing and you start going, okay, how else can I grow my business? Well, I'm gonna start doing internet leads. Well, what good are internet leads if you don't have a fully functioning CRM that is actually following, like what good are they? And then people will say, well, these leads suck. And it's like, no, your infrastructure sucked. Somebody closed them. It just wasn't you, right? And so number one advice I give a brand new agent is understand that it's boats over fishing. We're going to have decades to fish. You better build the boat or you're going to sink. Okay, go ahead.
I have a question. I think I understand most of the info that you told us today. You mentioned earlier at the beginning you would dominate this market if you come. I would like if you can elaborate that because I used to live in Philadelphia, Dallas, San Francisco here 40 years, and I find this market quite different.
Sure.
I believe the people here, rather choose loyalty over innovation sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of agents here are like, I wish they were more loyal.
Well, it's just a little bit different, which I love.
Yeah.
It's just different.
So she said, what would you do in this market? Because you said the people here, and I find that the clients here are loyal and whatever.
You think you would dominate this market?
Because I travel all over the world and it's no different anywhere. Are there some loyal clients? Sure, but I bet a lot of the experienced agents in here wish they were more loyal. I mean, Can I get an amen? Like it's visibility, like that's it. So when I say I would dominate a market, if I'm in the most loyal market in the world, there's still people who are leaving, they're still using other agents. Statistically, that's just a fact, right? Maybe I have to get in front of more people, right? But when I say to you, the reason I gave the example I did earlier where I said I put up a post and I went, oh my God, we crossed whatever. And since that time, it's gone up thousands since then, just by the things we continue to do. It has nothing to do with my number of followers. Those followers come, if I show you my last video, like 60% of them came from non-followers. They were like nobody who followed me, nobody who ever heard of me, nobody who anything, because the principles work. And so when I say, hey, I would dominate in the market, it's because I believe what I said to you before, which is it's my job to give people the chance to know me, K-N-O-W, so they have a chance to know me, N-O. I'd be creating content like crazy, specifically geared towards the people in your area. The techniques that I taught last time and that we'll be teaching over the next 4 months in our virtual dashboard, the coaching dashboard, where every time a listing comes on the market, another listing's about to come up, and the prospecting that we teach around that strategy, I know how to leverage that out and have other people do it so that I'm doing nothing but going out to the listing appointment on a regular basis. I know how to leverage my buyers with the videos and promoting those correctly to pull in more sellers, more buyers. I know what to do to get in front of people. So as much as we would love to think they're so loyal to their people, they won't be when I get in front of them first, because it's economy of convenience. That's it. And so I would be the most visible agent in this market. I know that. You know why? I do it all over the world. Do you know how many people try to get into speaking? Do you know how many try to get into, when I was selling real estate, I was the #1 agent in the country and I was 26. That doesn't happen by accident. That's not, you can't do that because you've got a great grandmother or I had no developments. I had no builders I worked with. It was all one sale at a time. And every one of those sales, especially when I was young, the day before didn't know me and today had to make a decision about me. And so I know how to get in front of people. So when I say that, it's like, guys, strategy. It's just not that you need to do all of it, but what are the 2 or 3 things you're doing consistently?
So did you have a good knowledge foundation at the age of 26?
I know what works, and I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to fail. So I'm not afraid of trying a new trend or getting in front or trying a certain kind of content or trying a new prospecting strategy and it not working. I'm not afraid of that. What I'm afraid of is doing nothing and getting nothing because I got what I deserved. So yeah, I never fear about. It's just so easy to get in front of people today. So easy. I can do one more and then we got to go. Yeah. And then I'll answer, by the way, guys, because I know we got to go, whatever, but you guys all have access. If you go to connectwithjared.com, connect on the social platform, send me.
Just to expand on your visibility.
Yeah, to expand on visibility.
On the old adage, it's a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is true to this day still.
Yeah.
And numbers are bigger. How many numbers make something an ROI?
Okay, so he said just to expand on the visibility. Oh, that's such a good question. I wish I had like 20 minutes for that. And he said, just to expand on the visibility, the numbers game. What numbers make it? Okay, my answer is really quickly and succinct. Our world today is not about conversions, it's about conversations. That's what pros understand, okay? Pros are not after conversions, okay? Conversions is an amateur game. Conversions is a game of the college dude going into the bar going, hey, we doing this? What's happening? Like, not gonna work, right? Conversations, relationship. We are relationship business. Now, statistically, it takes 41 real estate related conversations to create 1 transaction. Statistically. Now that's if you're average. If you're great talking to people, great at connecting, maybe yours is 28. But once you understand that number, now it's, when you say, what are the numbers, what are the ROI, well, you just take that out and you multiply it out. How many different ways can I proactively create conversations every single day? Why did that guy that I talked to in the gym create 8 different listing appointments when I said, how many people in your database? Because for him, it wasn't 41 real estate, it was probably 9 real estate, really, because they all had context with him already. And so what you have to understand is the more branding you do, look, marketing has two things, byproducts. When you market, you have 2 goals. Number 1 is direct call to action, that's leads. You create them automatically. Number 2 is branding. When you're doing marketing, the other thing you're trying to get is branding. The more you brand, the more you're known, that number of conversations per transaction goes down. Because everyone knows you, because everyone, just like it did within his phone, right? So when you say what are the exact numbers, I can't say that for each individual in here. I can tell you overall it's 41 real estate related conversations equals 1 transaction. And so when you move that over to me over here, saying how many views, how many this, how many whatever, and I'm going visibility, 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 what am I really doing in the back of my head? I'm working backwards from that 41. And I'm going proactively, we're at 18, 21, 22, 30, transaction, next one, next one, next one. While someone else is sitting back for somebody to just come and raise their hand, I'm proactively going after that number in everything I'm doing. And that's what visibility is.
Do you believe your content is a one-sided conversation?
Hopefully not.
Out to them?
No, and I think if you see my whatever, I spend a lot of time, way too much time, responding and doing. Now, the realistic answer is that it technically is one-sided, meaning I'm not doing a live where I'm inviting them in and bringing them in by their Zoom, that kind of a thing. But no, I'm commenting back and forth with everybody who's on there, and I'm creating I'm responding to every single DM. I'm going to end with this because I know we have to end. The bigger the world becomes, the bigger it becomes internet, social, the fact that you guys can do videos and have hundreds of views in your area by people you never met, never anything, the smaller you can make your world feel for them, the more you're going to win. And so one of the reasons why I answer every single one of my DMs is because I might have hundreds of thousands of people who are following me, but the ones who cared enough to go and send me a message, and all I got to do is give them back a fist bump, say hello, do whatever, and now it makes their world. I took those very specific people and made the world feel very small for them. And the more you can do that with the people in your community, you're going to win in, a lot. Okay? We got to go, guys. I don't know if you guys are coming up. Are we ending? What's the deal? I don't know.